Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of the Ukraine-Russian war that might be over now. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Pie Day. Happy Pie Day. Have some coffee with your pie. It's Friday, March 14th, 2025. My name's Brian Engelman, and this is the TNAM AM Show here on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. We're going to talk about what's going on with the war. What is the latest? Is it possible that President Trump and J.D. Vance have negotiated a peace agreement? We will unpack, but there is some promising stuff right in front of us. Promising stuff. I'm going to say, are you going to join our live show right now? That's what we're saying on our Facebook groups. TNAM's the Agree to Disagree show. Let's go ahead and get the chat. And where are the captions? Where did I go? Design, captions, folder. Oh, I got all these folders. There we go. Captions. Boom. All right. Let's start with this. Please make sure you're following the New American Media. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, and YouTube by searching The New American Media. That's Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, and YouTube, The New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM for The New American Media, TNAM and TNAM Chat. TNAM and TNAM Chat on Signal and Telegram. We're on X at American_media_. And you can sub to our podcast on the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify and Apple. Additionally, if you like the New American Media and want to see more content, we appreciate all of your donations as we're completely crowdfunded. We appreciate every one of you that sent us a PayPal, a Venmo, a Patreon, in person. You guys are superstars, heroes, just crowdfunding. It's been quite a year going to all of the political conventions, going to inauguration. It's a lot. So thank you to everyone. Scrolling at the bottom there, it shows on Patreon, we're at the New American Media. On Venmo, at Brian Engelman. Cash App, $ Brian Engelman. And then on PayPal, at Fuzz Installment. We are the New American Media because the old American media has failed you. So please enter our chat room and engage in the conversations of the day, would you? We got a lot to talk about. And what we do is we click on the New American Media on Instagram because we share stories throughout the entire day. And then as we find them, we bring them to you on that feed. But when we do our live show, we will unpack some of these segments and we'll talk about what we're watching. So let's go side by side here. Bam. Hey, there's Deb. Here, let's get the chat overlay on top of the screen. Hey, Brian, happy Friday. Happy Pie Day. It's 3.14. 3.1415927565 657595. 3.141592. 3.141592. It's 6535. Doggone it. 3.1415926535. Little disappointed I couldn't take it out further than that. 3.1415926535. I used to look at it in my 7th grade room up on the wall. I'm like, all right, I got to memorize this. And all I got was like 7 lousy digits. All right. So, look, we posted here. We lost brain cells listening to this. Scott Jennings is fine, but listen to these people on the CNN panel complaining that Tesla exists or that Trump supports Tesla, an American company. You know, the left, they don't win on good arguments. They win by trying to destroy the people that oppose them. They rule through smashing and destroying opposition. They don't win because they have better ideas. That stuff needs to stop. But here's the conversation on CNN yesterday.
Strategist, you wouldn't have advised him to go in front of the White House and drive a Tesla.
Wait, why?
Because
of course I would have. You know why? Because if I were advising a Republican president, I would say, let's support American companies that have thousands of American workers and thousands more workers who make indirect products for it. Yeah, I think it would be a good idea if American companies did well under my
administration. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and support a billionaire, but not support the American worker, and not necessarily.
Who do you think makes Teslas, Sochi? American workers. It's good if
but it's
Tesla
very much
well,
as Dana mentioned.
You think Elon builds them all in his basement? They got factories all over the place,
including in China. But you know,
yeah. Do they not have thousands of Americans?
The visual of him driving a six-figure...
Did Joe Biden drive a Jeep Rubicon around the South Lawn?
A six-figure car
Where do they make those?
Is owned by a billionaire in the White House.
Is giving
the UAW had a
to,
stake in it, and the UAW gave money to Joe Biden, and they supported Joe Biden. You're saying one hand.
Well, you're talking about the UAW. You're kind of making
a point about the workers. A billionaire who is in the federal government making cuts and making business deals that end up benefiting himself.
Well, a lot of those
terrible look for Donald
I've never seen
Trump.
Democrats so excited to tear down an American company or companies the way they are right now. It's crazy.
They agree, because as a Republican strategist, you wouldn't have advised him to go in front of the White House and drive a Tesla.
Wait, why?
Because
of course I would have. You know why? Because if I were advising a Republican president, I would say, let's support American companies that have thousands of American workers and thousands more workers who make indirect products for it. Yeah, I think it would be a good idea if American companies did well under my administration.
Okay, so you're going to go ahead and support a billionaire.
There you go. I mean, I lost brain cells listening to that. Since it happened to me, I wanted to make sure it happened to you. Kenneth is back. Kenneth B2. Hello, Kenneth. Yeah, I don't care if you're B2, B2, D2, beeper, beeper, R2D2. I don't care if you're which account, but I'm glad you're here. Look at that image. That's some nightmare fuel right there. Look at that image. Yikes. All right, Benny Johnson reports the mask is off. In the past week, the corporate media desperately tried and spectacularly failed to astroturf fraudulent new woke personalities and products. Representative Al Green, a civil rights hero, fail. Barack Obama's spouse, their podcast launch, bombed. Dylan Mulvaney biography, they launched it, failed. Disney race swapped Snow White, bomb. Now, to be fair, I don't think Snow White's even out yet. The Obama thing was one episode. But yeah, Al Green.
Hey, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat.
How great was this?
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Hey, take your seat.
That's so funny. So there you go. Look at that. Craig Robinson and Michelle Obama there. 1.8 thousand thumbs up, 1.8 thousand thumbs down. Oh, they really pushed this Mulvaney thing up to number 801 in the top 100 books. Sort of missed the mark there. Here's the woke Snow White thing. The one that hates Snow White, whatever that actress's name. Where's her name? I don't care. She doesn't like Snow White. She doesn't really like the story. Why is she cast in the movie? It was bad, so they had to pause it and redo it. They were supposed to release this a while ago. By the way, have you noticed? Have you noticed I'm in a new studio? Here, let me. Nope. You might not notice, but look at that. I guess you can see green screen if I move super fast, but I did reconfigure things and it's very crisp. Whereas before, if I was moving, I mean, the blur around me was digitized because it was automated. Now I have the actual green screen behind me. I think it's an upgrade. I can see a sharpness difference. Jason, are you going to join me as a co-anchor today? Is that what's going on? Here, Jason asked for it. There's the link. Jason, if you want to jump in, we can talk about the stories together. Jason, good to see you. Hey, Jason, who do you think the Titans will take? Imagine the Titans stay at number 1. Who do you think they'll take, and who do you think the Browns take it to, assuming we stay at 2? Jason and I are big Cleveland Browns fans. Yeah, snow wipe. I mean, all right, let's go back to it. Hold on, how did I have that? I guess side by side. Yeah, it's close enough. It'll clip the edge, but so what? You know what's happening there. So yeah, it shows 87,000 thumbs up, 1.1 million thumbs down for the race-swapped Snow White who doesn't like the story Snow White. Good job, Disney. Benny Johnson here. It's saying, it's total panic time. The fake money and clicks in audiences are gone. They never existed. It was a mirage, an algorithmic magic trick. All that's left is the brutal reality that left-wing influencers were never popular at scale, and the country is 80-20 against their pagan, spiteful worldview. I don't know. Pagan's not a dirty word, but I get their point. Meanwhile, merit-based independent media with true talent and grit and work ethic is gaining influence and audience on a parabolic scale. It's over for the broken, dying corporate media and their fake influence machine. Good riddance. Authenticity and merit and truth shall reign.
Watching this.
Here, let's take a listen to this. Air traffic operations supervisor at the FAA and a prominent figure inside the National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation. What are we doing separating aviation employees by race? What is the obsession with doing this? Why, if there's a National Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees, all right, cool. Like you're in a unique group. No. We need a National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. Whatever. Jason, I literally wish I could. I'm at work and I have a lot to say. Well, if you choose to go out to your car and click the link and take a 5-minute smoke break and get something off your chest, let's get a Jason rant. What should we call Jason's rant? A melon moment. Ah, there we go. So that's what's going to happen. Jason's going to join our show every day, and it's going to be called the Melon Moment. David Bann, you just signed Bosa. How do you feel about signing Bosa? I heard that. Oh, by the way, I'll have a show coming with Mike Barra. He and I did 23 episodes of our first season of Strictly Football. He's one of those ancient alien guys. You've seen him on History Channel and whatnot. But we're aiming for today, but it might not be today. Soon, we're going to do a free agency recap show for Strictly Football under the umbrella of the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. So that'll be coming. David, if you're not aware that I'm a sports anchor, that I'm a sports broadcaster, here, take a look at this. See, I have these awesome coasters. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, and that's an Unhappy Hour pin in there. People that donate, I'll mail these out. They're $30. There's 4 wooden Ohio-made coasters for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. One shaped like the state of Ohio, and one circular. But yeah, $30 donation. I'll get you this mailed. It includes shipping, and then $25 for the pin. Here, I'll show you the pin since we're talking about it. Jason has a pin. Kenneth has the coasters. But yeah, I do sports shows, and we'll be doing Strictly Football free agency recap show very soon, as soon as we can coordinate the best time in the next couple days, within the next 7 days, I would imagine. There you go, Jason. Jason says the coasters are legit, and you have a unique pin as well. Yeah, only 100 of that exact version will ever be made. If we make a subsequent batch, they will be different. So this one will always be the collectible top 100. I think only 20 something are in circulation right now. So if you want one, hey, you know how to donate. Okay, you're a longtime Buffalo Bills fan. Yeah, how do you feel about the Bills? Geez, you guys gave a huge contract to Josh Allen and the Cleveland Browns. I guess a lot of people were saying, oh, we want Myles Garrett on the Bills. It's like, oh, come on. Well, they'll trade you 2 first-round picks. Yeah, like we want the number 31 first-round pick for a 2-time defensive player of the year in his prime. That's why GM Andrew Berry and owner Jimmy Haslam, they're like, no, I'm not trading Myles. I don't know. I don't care if he goes on a speaking tour. He's under contract for 2 years. And then we could franchise tag him for 2 more. We have him for 4 years. We're not getting rid of the best defensive player in the league. We're good. Kenneth is open to one. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills are good. I wish we could have played in the AFC Championship during the Baker Mayfield season where the referees allowed a dirty helmet-to-helmet hit from Dan Sorensen to push the ball through the end zone on a touchback instead of out at the 1-yard line, kicking dirty Dan Sorensen out of the game, who speared helmet-to-helmet wide receiver Hollywood Higgins on a Baker Mayfield touchdown pass in a game that we lost by less than 7 points. We would have been in the AFC Championship game. And there's no way you trade Baker Mayfield if he takes you to an AFC Championship game. Oh, but alas, everything has changed. And now we're in the market for a quarterback because Deshaun Watson is trash. But anyway. All right. Should I touch on the topic of the uneducated people that are blaming Trump for the stock market crash? Stock market crash, huh? I mean, is it crashing? Hang on. Let's pull up Dow. Here, let's share this tab instead. We're an interactive show. I do have to stay focused today, but I literally love having people in the chat to like play tennis with. I don't want to just go in the garage and play drums. I want to play drums with a guitar player. I want to come up with different beats based on different rhythms that they're playing. They got different melodies. I want to find different drum parts within it. I don't like talking to myself. I like talking with you guys. So the Dow's at 41K. That's up 1.5 points today. Let's kick it out to 5 days. It's down 2.6%. Let's kick it out a month. It's down 7%. Let's go 6 months. If you go 6 months ago, when is 6 months ago exactly? They're saying September 16, roughly September 14. All right, good. Jason, how about this? In the past 6 months, there's been no change in the stock market. That's all the research I had to do right there. Year to date, we're down 2.4% to date. Quit your belly aching. You know what, though? In the last year, it's up 6%. 5 years? Holy shnikes, it's up 78%. To the uneducated people that are freaking out right now, tell them there's no change. In the past 6 months, look at this. The past, I blame Tony Dow. Hold on. I know that name. Was that from Happy Days? Oh my God, that's an obscure reference. Was that Happy Days? No, the markets aren't crashing at all. But the Democrats hate you. They hate America. They hate MAGA. And they will lie through their teeth every chance they get to make everything seem like the sky is falling. Whether it was the hysteria of COVID, the fake Russian collusion, the phony spy warrants issued through FISA and Perkins Coie. We got judges saying that Trump can't fire Perkins Coie, the ones that were behind the Alpha Bank hoax and the phony FISA warrants, the Steele dossier that got the phony FISA warrants so they could spy on Carter Page. And because Carter Page was linked to Trump and his team, they could then surveil and spy on Trump and his whole team. Oh, Richard Nixon. Oh my gosh, Watergate. He had to resign, right? It wasn't about Watergate, people. That was a setup. And Woodward Bernstein, CIA. It was an op to take out Richard Nixon. I am not a crook. What Obama, Hillary, Perkins Coie, Steele dossier, what these people did to Trump was Watergate times 9/11. Watergate times 1,000,000,000,000. They still need to face justice for that, weaponizing the judicial system, weaponizing the legal system. Oh, shit, it was Leave It to Beaver. I didn't think I had it right, but I was sort of right in the era. Now, which one was Tony Dow? Was that his brother? And what was his brother's character's name? I think it was the brother, right? Anyway. All right, so there you go. Jason, huge round of applause for the education. Huge round of applause for a great question. You just tell your nincompoop friends in the past 6 months, there's been no change. Statistically, no relevant change. Down 0.6%. Down 249 on a $41,000 stock market, okay? Uh-oh, sneeze. Oh, that was a tough one. Hitting the dump button just in time. I made the mistake of petting Nimbus. I mean, it's never a mistake to pet your cat. But, okay, Jason's got to run. Have a meeting. Thanks for jumping in. But yeah, there's no change in the past 6 months. You tell your friends what's what. All right, let's go back to this aviation story. So they have a National Black Coalition of Federal Aviation Employees. This is a prominent figure inside of this, a air traffic operations supervisor at the FAA. Here he is allegedly caught on undercover audio explaining how he will help minority air traffic controller candidates cheat on entry exams.
Bourbon associate members, brothers and sisters, listen, it's been a really busy time for me these past 4 days.
Brothers and sisters. This division by race and sex, and it's terrible. It is a cancer. We're human. That's it. That's all that matters. This Obama doctrine of division has to stop, but let him continue.
I know that each of you are eager, very eager, to apply for this job vacancy announcement, and trust, after tonight, you will be able to do so. I am asking that you give me another 15 or 16 hours. Allow me to go to work and come home, provide you with an email that will be extremely crucial in the opening stages of this hiring process. There are some valuable pieces of information that I have taken a screenshot of, and I'm going to send that to you via email. Trust and believe it will be something that you will appreciate to the utmost. Keep in mind, we are trying to maximize your opportunities, and I'm doing the very best that I can with the time that I'm given. Today when I get off at 11 o'clock, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out that email. I'm going to send it to each of you, and as you progress through the stages, refer to those images so that you will know which icons you should select. Now, I have a good mind to send it to one of my HR representatives first and give them the opportunity to sign off on it before you actually click it. But in the sake of time, I'm going to send it directly to you because I'm about 99.99% sure that it's exactly how you need to answer each question in order to get through the first phase. People have been getting rejection notices, and those rejection notices have been coming after about 24 to 36 hours after clicking submit. And I want to avoid that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our time, and we're going to make sure that everything that we click on, and you're going to even have to go back to your resume and make some changes because one of our members and I have caught something, and we want to go back and we want to fine-tune those details. And I guarantee that will give us the very best feeling that we could ever get in applying for this job. VRAs, those that have received tentative offer letters, we want you to apply for this job anyway. Messages came back saying do not give the agency an opportunity to say they never gave you one. So apply for it anyway. For everyone else, stand by to stand by. Later on this evening, when I get home, I'm going to finish those emails, and then I'm going to go back to planning for the Black History Month program.
For Black History Month program. Instead of focusing on Air Traffic Controller Month. There's not Air Traffic Controller Month. Instead of focusing on the air traffic controller duties, you're wasting your time on helping a certain demographic cheat. And I gotta go spend my time on this. I don't know. Some people love these months of history. They're divisive. They're just separating all the Skittles out on the table, dump them out on the table. All right, you go over here, you go over there. So this guy's all concerned about Black History Month. He's all concerned about helping air quote minority air traffic controller candidates cheat on entry exams. And we're wondering why there's some problems in the skies. There's a video I watched where it's an argument between a lady air traffic controller and a pilot who's going down. And she's like, "Yeah, you're not going to do that." He's like, "Yeah, I'm cleared for this." And she says, "That's not how you do it." He goes, "With all due respect, I've been doing this for 45 years, and you're the first person to ever tell me that I can't do that." She goes, "Well, I Googled it." And so these claims about DEI didn't earn it. If this recording is true, this is exactly what we're talking about. Certain people giving favorable preferential treatment instead of just displaying competence. That's all you need in the friendly skies is competence. Not black people, not white people, not orange people, not purple people. As Mitch Hedberg has a joke about purple people. We are a new race. We will prevail. What do you say? I was going to get my teeth whitened, but I decided to get a tan instead. I'm not white. I'm off-white. We're a new race. We will prevail. Okay, going back. Yes, Wally and the Beaver. Yes, that is what it was. I don't know. I haven't thought about Leave It to Beaver in a while. So here's Lotto from the movie 8 Mile. I don't know if I can say this or not. I'll spit a racial slur, honky, sue me. The shit is a horror flick, but the black guy doesn't die in this movie. Fucking with Lotto, dog, you gotta be kidding. That makes me believe you don't really have an interest in living. You think these N's gonna feel the shit you say? I got a better chance joining the KKK on some real shit, though. I like you. That's why I didn't want to have to be the one you commit suicide to. Fuck Lotto, call me your leader. I feel so bad I got to murder that dude from Leave It to Beaver. I used to like that show. Now you got me in fight back mode. But oh well, if you got to go, then you got to go. I hate to do this. I would love for this shit to last, so I'll take pictures of my rear end so you won't forget my ass. And all's well that ends okay, so I'll end this shit with a fuck you, but have a nice day. There you go. There's a Leave It to Beaver reference. You know, when I started doing this show today, I said, I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay on track. I'm into the stock market. We're talking Wally and the Beaver. I'm loving it. Holly, thanks for joining us. Good. I'm glad to see some people finding us on, on Facebook. Please hit the like button. Please hit the heart button. Do that tap, tap, tap thing on your phone, because it does make a difference to the algorithm. If people are liking the content, then they might actually allow a couple people to see the content. I mean, I got thousands of people on our Facebook groups, and they constantly restrict my ability to deliver my product to the people on Facebook. Meta is such a bad company. But welcome. Glad to have you here, Holly. Holly's a Bengals fan. David is a Bills fan. David said that the NFL is rigged. I get it. Yeah, hon, you were a bit hard on the Beaver last night. She's a Bengal fan. I'm a Browns fan. Jason's a Browns fan. David is the Bills fan. Kenneth, you're in Florida. Deb, do you guys follow sports? Question of the day to anyone if you're watching on Rumble, Facebook, X, YouTube, however you're watching the show, type in if you're a fan of football and what your team is and who you'd like them to draft this year. I will be doing a sports show within the next week, I promise. But anyway, this air traffic controller stuff is awful. And our comment was, you got to retest everyone from this graduating batch. Everyone from this batch needs to be retested. That's it. It's the same story I said about the fraud states. They called them the swing states in 2020, the ones that all had Trump up by hundreds of thousands of votes. Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, all the fraud states. And they all just magically stopped counting with Trump up hundreds of thousands of votes. Oh, I guess we got to stop. We got to stop. We've never stopped ever before. Yep, but we have to now. And every one of them flipped over days and weeks. They flipped to Joe Biden somehow magically. And the whole point of January 6th was to go down there and tell people those are corrupted batches of ballots. They cannot be counted. You don't pause with one person clearly ahead and a landslide win and allow that to switch over several days. And all of the states that did the magic pause, they all gave you the perfect result for the deep state. You got to throw all 7 states out, have a one-day vote with paper ballots, in-person voting, signature voter ID card. You count it in a day and you redo it, or you throw them all out. And if all 7 of those states aren't there, then you go to the following protocols if nobody gets the 270 electoral candidates, delegates. That was the conversation that was supposed to happen that day. But Ray Epps, Nancy Pelosi, Muriel Bowser, Kinzinger, Cheney, all of the deep state players, they made sure that the story was not about those 7 fraud states. They made sure that it was about a mostly peaceful protest when they started shooting smoke grenades off. Not a single shot was fired from a Trump supporter that day. Don't get it twisted. They started shooting projectiles into crowds, peaceful crowds, forcing the crowds to push. They were opening up gates, opening up big magnetically locked doors to self-guided tours to call them insurrectionists. Not a single weapon, not a single firearm was used that day. If that crowd had been instructed to go do an insurrection, it would have definitely played out differently, but we never got that. So my point on this FAA story, the air traffic controller story, is you have to throw out this whole batch that this guy has tainted because it's tainted. Oh, they're big mail drops, in the 3 a.m. Lots of found more ballots. They're not postmarked, but we're going to count them. Oh, you are. It's going to deliver you just enough to get you 20,000 votes over the finish line to beat Trump with his massive landslide. Okay, cool story, bro. Don't believe it. But the Democrats succeeded, at least for a little while, of shaming the MAGA movement, turning Trump toxic, and pushing this insurrection nonsense for years because of it. Anyway, my point is, if it's tainted, you throw it out. You throw them all out. You can't. If it's so obviously fraudulent, you got to retest. And this FAA thing for all the people that were given the answers to cheat on the exams. I don't want white people as air traffic controllers. I don't. It's not important to have a national white people air traffic controller club. Yeah, because you're not historically marginalized. Shut up. It's about competence. I want qualified, competent badasses in the monitoring the friendly skies. That's it. That's all that matters. That's the opposite of DEI. Well, we don't have enough Pacific Islanders. What? That doesn't matter. If Pacific Islanders want to take the same test that everyone takes, then they'll take it. And if they're smart, they'll pass it and they'll get the job. What do I care? There's not enough people of Canadian descent. What? We are emerging from like the stupidest time in American history. You're comparing it to slavery. You mean the slavery that we ended as a nation? Yeah, I think we kind of handled that. Yeah, we kind of took care of business, didn't we? Guess what? It's still happening today. 300,000 missing kids on the southern border. All of the human trafficking that Biden, Obama, deep state allowed. What do you think's happening? There are open air slave markets in Africa right now. Or there have been over the past decade and a half. This period, this Obama doctrine era that we are emerging from might be the stupidest period of American history, where the prioritization went to the absolute least significant components, which is racial division, gender and sex division, religious division, just every way that we could be divided to get conquered. That was the plan, to conquer the United States. And MAGA pushed back. Not Republicans. Republicans wanted to put little Ronnie D up. Republicans wanted Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio. Republicans have been an equal part of the problem. They've been 20% of the problem to the Democrats' 80% of the problem. I'd say 99% of Democrats are just driving us into a brick wall at full speed. Some Republicans are good. The Thomas Masseys, the Rand Pauls, the ones Trump attacked. And we'll get to that. That was some bullshit. I was not a fan of Trump going after Thomas Massey, and Rand Paul and Thomas Massey have been right about the stupid spending that's created the inflation that we're dealing with today. So anyway, Kenneth is kind of a Bucks fan. Yeah, there you go. Baker Mayfield, buddy. I root for the Bucks big time. Kenneth will only be a slave to the rhythm. It's the rhythm of the Ken. Anyway, this air traffic controller guy, if this is real, if this is proven out, that's bad news. That is endangering American lives, and I don't have patience. No. Anyway, here's President Trump talking about what's going on with our neighbors to the north in Canada.
No, I'm not. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all on aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. I have many friends in Canada. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, the great. How good is Wayne Gretzky? He's the great one. But we have, I know many people from Canada that are good friends of mine. But, the United States can't.
Wayne Gretzky, what a guy. I don't know if you've seen this one. It's Terrence and Phillip. They were on South Park. Hilarious duo. They go, "I'm not your pal, buddy. I'm not your buddy, friend. I'm not your friend, guy." Oh, that was great. Canada.
Subsidize a country for $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because we want to be helpful, but it comes a point when you just can't do that. You have to run your own country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states. Maybe our greatest state. But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Yes. No, I'm not.
I mean, look, he's not giving up on this. It's not just because Trudeau's gone. We're going to move along. We'll see how it shakes out. Canada. Holly, I saw your post, and then I got sidetracked with the football thing because Jason being, talking football and the Bills and Buccaneers. But you made this comment, and I wanted to address it. Ari Fleischer, 2 stories ago when Jason brought up the stock market, Ari Fleischer recently said, for everyone going crazy about the stock market, the Dow is down 1.1% for the year, and the S&P is down 4.3%. If you can't handle what's tantamount to a small swing, you shouldn't be in the market. That's a great comment. Thank you for sharing that. Here's Bobby Kennedy giving you an update on what's happening with Health and Human Services. Can I just say, instead of everything that was run by, the same criminals running Canada, you got your World Economic Forum puppet up there. When are your elections? Did I hear in 90 days they're going to happen? I also heard in October. How soon can Pierre Poilievre take over that country and get you back on track? Because you guys are rudderless up there. You guys with your new World Economic Forum puppet and Justin Globalist Trudeau, as bad as the United States with Obama, Biden, Harris. Ugh. Anyway, but how nice is this? Instead of governing in the shadows, how great is it to have Bobby Kennedy Jr., Pete Hegseth, Caroline Levitt? I'm here with the MAGA Minute, giving you an update on what happened this week. Everybody is front-facing. Everybody's giving press conferences. They're doing weekly report cards. Elon's like, could you send me an email telling me 5 things, 5 things that you worked on last week? The left. By the way, I've worked in sales. I've had various clients with my consulting, and at the end of the week, you put together an email to your supervisor, to your boss, to the owner of the company, whoever you're reporting to. Hey, called XYZ University, spoke with Jim Smith, the director of purchasing and operations. He said their contracts are up for renewal in May. He's open to allowing us to compete for a bid, and he's asked us to send him no earlier than April 1st, because that's when the submission process begins, but no later than the 15th, a proposal. So I'm going to get that to him on the 1st, and then I'm going to follow up a week later, but he said it has the potential to generate $300,000. You put, that's one sentence. Just, it's not hard to give someone an update. How are you going to look through thousands of pages of stuff in a CRM when you're calling, hundreds of people, thousands of people? Just what are the most promising leads? What's the most important stuff? Give me the update. Give me a weekly update. It's not hard to ask. That's not difficult. That's not out of line to ask for that. That's common sense. So here's Bobby Kennedy giving us an update on what he's been up to. It's so remarkable.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm the Secretary for the Department of Health and Human Services. In the final months of the election, President Trump repeatedly called for removing toxins from our food supply. He added his voice to the millions of MAGA moms who were touting the Make America Healthy Again agenda. The first step is radical transparency, because right now, not even the U.S. government knows what's in our food. In 1958, the government created a designation called Generally Recognized as Safe, or GRAS, so that we can make common ingredients like salt and baking soda exempt from testing. But today, it isn't just salt and baking soda. Food companies and cooperative regulators have enlarged the GRAS exemption so that these companies can decide for themselves whether a substance is generally recognized as safe. No FDA approval is needed. European nations, on the other hand, require that a chemical be proven safe before it becomes a food ingredient. In our country, the GRAS standard means that every chemical is presumed safe until proven dangerous, and that proof might not happen until millions of Americans are sick with chronic disease. This mass experiment on the American population with GRAS has, in short, been a catastrophe. We now have around 10,000 chemicals in our food, while Europe has only 400. For example, titanium dioxide, potentially linked to DNA damage and cancer, is banned in the EU, but it's in our children's food. Potassium bromate, a suspected carcinogen, banned in Europe and Japan. And you guessed it, it's in our children's bread. Food dyes such as red dye 40 and yellow 5 and 6 come with warning labels in Europe. They're linked to behavioral issues in children, but in the US, they're generally recognized as safe. I can't really blame the food companies. They're just doing what we've allowed them to get away with in a system that's taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, but
we all agree now that it's time to change the system.
You can blame the food companies, though. If they know the stuff that they're selling, safe for embalming. If they know that the stuff they're pushing is toxic and they're not letting us know, it's one thing to sell alcohol. You know what alcohol is. It's one thing to sell cigarettes. You know what cigarettes are. But to just pump the food full of things that are making us very sick and without any transparency on that, I'm not okay with that. And there has to be some accountability there.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. I am today directing the FDA commissioner to start the process of changing the rules to eliminate the self-affirming GRAS pathway for new ingredients. I'm also directing the FDA and NIH to ramp up post-market assessments of GRAS chemicals currently in our food so that we can rapidly identify the compounds that are making Americans so sick, and so that American consumers and regulators can make informed decisions. This issue isn't going away. Moms aren't going to return to wanting chemicals in our food that are banned in other developed countries.
Nope.
Even industry knows that we have to change. So I promise you, I'm going to work with...
But don't worry, if MAGA is supporting it, if President Trump's behind it, you're going to see 20% of the country being paid by USAID or George Soros or some other shell corporation, some other shell organization, an NGO. Oh yeah, you'll see it. They will oppose whatever Trump does because they are mentally ill. David says, I think he's just slowly introducing the information. Do you mean RFK Jr. is slowly introducing all the problems with the food supply? Here, let me finish this Bobby Kennedy clip, and then I want to address your question about what's happening with the government, because that is a big topic for today's show.
All parties, the companies, the moms, the scientists, the consumer advocates, to make American food the healthiest in the world the way that it was when I was a child.
Jeez, look
Produced
at all
by
that.
the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
All of that under HHS. Man, Trump made a good deal bringing Bobby Kennedy on board. Bobby Kennedy was smart to go ahead and jump in. We'll get to this ICE story in a second. Because this is madness. But let's talk about your question. I got to pull it up here. What's going on with the government shutdown? By the way, if you guys haven't been using Grok, once again, I'm not getting a subsidy for... Here, let me just get rid of the overlay for a second so this is large. I'm not getting advertising dollars from X, although I would gladly take them because they are one of my favorite sites now. I rarely used to use Twitter, but I'm using it a lot now with X. We actually get decent analytic numbers when we stream through X. It's weird though. I'm seeing Holly and Jason and others in the Facebook group connected, but on Restream, I'm not seeing those populating. I'm seeing people in Rumble, but it's not showing me on Restream that there's people in Rumble. It's weird. It's everything the new American media does is a little bit weird when it comes to analytics. I don't understand why. We got on a list early and it's been hard to get off that list. I actually did have a friend take the Agree to Disagree show group and we got restrictions removed. In the TNAM's the Agree to Disagree show group on Facebook. And that was good. It took a month or two, but they finally removed some of the restrictions. That was cool. All right. So look, what I was saying about X, Grok is a very, I have found it increasingly difficult to find information on a Google search. Increasingly likely that Google is going to take what I search for and warp it to something they want to promote and that they want to spin. Is that making sense? I hope it's making sense. Let me show you this. Let me switch. This is the new American media. Trump in the Bronx, 5/23/24. For Brian, it says. Bones Justice. Bones. Whoop, where's that? This was the guy who I met. I believe he's a musician. I believe he's homeless at the time. If I'm misrepresenting Bones, I apologize. But I believe it was, and you were drawing, you were taking donations to draw stuff. I'm like, oh, here's a few bucks. Make me something for the new American media. So he made me this. The new American media, Trump in the Bronx. Now, this guy, I need to put, thanks for the reminder. This is taking me on a path, but it's important. I'm going to put this on our Instagram feed. He said, I heard President Trump was coming to the Bronx. And I said, holy shit, I'm going. I got to check this out. So I go into Google, Trump Bronx rally. I get the address and I look at the map. I go, all right, I got to hop on this subway and take this bus to end up over here. He goes, for an hour 15 or however long, 45, whatever the duration was. He had to go from here to there and do the thing. So he gets there and he walks out. And what does he find? He finds a phony AstroTurf event with a bunch of paid union members, zero enthusiasm, printed signs. They're all holding the same signs. It's like, they're getting overtime for being there. They don't want to be there. Google took him to when he said Trump rally, Google said, oh, here's the anti-Trump rally in the Bronx. He didn't type anti-Trump rally. Google manipulated that shit. And he goes, so then I had to figure out what was going on and get my ass all the way back over here. Google hates you. Google thinks they own information. Oh, we know what's right and wrong. No. You've been pushing your lies and your dirty deep state Democrat agenda for decades. That's why YouTube sucks. That's why Google search sucks. And so that story is important. And what I was getting at here was Grok. What I was trying to explain to you was I have found Grok is their AI tool. I don't know if you need to be a premium member for it. I don't think so. You do have to be a premium member to stream. And so that was what initially forced me into, if it's $13, I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll pay it, I guess. Once again, just chalk it up. $700 a year for Restream or whatever that was. A couple $100 for X each year. The business expenses add up. But I think Grok AI is available for free. Check me on that one if I'm incorrect. But point is, I love their searches. When I type stuff in, the stuff it spits back out usually gives me a fairly well-rounded paragraph or two to point me in the right direction. Yes, Grok of Ages, still a-rolling. Def Leppard. David Bann, what's going on with the government shutdown? Let's tell you what Grok has to say about it. And we're going to have stories on Instagram and our X feed. Discussing some of this because, yes, this news recently broke. But as of today, March 14, 2025 at noon, it appears unlikely there will be a government shutdown. The deadline for government funding is midnight tonight. So look at that. It's unlikely. And then now we know the deadline. That's tonight. We're in the second sentence here, and they're saying recent developments suggest a resolution in sight. Third sentence. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced he will vote to keep the government open, indicating enough Democratic support to pass a Republican-led stopgap funding bill in the Senate. This bill, already passed by the House earlier this week, would fund the government through September 30, 2025. Schumer's decision, combined with the Republican majority in the Senate, makes it probable that the legislation will advance before the deadline, averting a shutdown. While some Senate Democrats expressed opposition to the bill and a few may vote against it, the consensus from current reports is that there won't be enough resistance to block it. The Senate's expected to vote on the measure today, and barring any last-minute surprises, the government should remain operational past tonight's deadline. However, the situation remains fluid until the vote is finalized, so it's not an absolute certainty yet, just highly likely based on the latest updates. Now, how about that? Now, if I typed government shutdown, will there be a government shutdown? Actually, let me try it. Do I dare try it? I'm going to try it on Google. Okay. Will there be a government shutdown? Okay. It's showing Schumer announces he'll vote to keep government open, likely avoiding. So I guess in this case, I mean, obviously CNN, what's at risk if Congress doesn't fund the government? Oh my gosh. The measure that was signed by Joe Biden. What is this evil Trump doing? Government shutdown, Trump at Department of Justice. Democrats must choose between a government shutdown and voting for a bill they hate as they face a deadline today. You get NPR and CNN pushing their slant right there. In the first two articles underneath the pictures here, you know, the ones, a couple of top stories, but like the first full articles, you can already tell the slant. And look, for Elon running X, I haven't found some of the questions when I ask him things. I haven't found there to be a massive slant, like a pro Elon or a pro MAGA. It just kind of tells you what's going on. And that's all I ever wanted. That's all I ever wanted. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. So that's what it appears is happening. Let's bounce over here. Kayleigh McEnany talking about ICE. ICE arrests are happening, but were they actually arrests? Or were they scams? Biden-era scams.
Look at this headline. I couldn't believe it. I texted around. I was like, this can't be real. This happened in the middle of the Biden administration. This is NBC News this morning. Immigration accounted for all, look at that, all U.S. population growth in 2022 to 23, the first time since 1850.
Dude,
so you had the...
That is absolute madness. That is replacement theory. There's a theory? Then you must be a bad guy. Oh, you must be an anti this or that. No. Mayorkas and Biden talked about replacing the American people. And that's going to be a good thing. That'll be a good thing. Population growth was all manufactured by intentionally destroying our southern border. Allowing drugs, allowing human smuggling, allowing rapists, allowing murderers, allowing bad people in, hoping that Democrats could find future Democrats. We don't hate these Democrats enough, and they have not been punished enough for their crimes.
The entirety of the increase of the U.S. population coming from immigration, most of it illegal, rather than live births of U.S. citizens, that's stunning. And this as they're cooking the numbers. Bill Malugin, though, sent some real numbers, and I love it. He gives all this data. I just have so much fun on my calculator.
It's Bill Malugin. I call him Bill Malugin. I'm not trying to call him by the wrong name. I didn't know it was Malugin.
He just sent out some new data that gotaways are down to about 77 a day. That is down from 1,080. There you go, 1,830. Amazing number.
Daily averages 2,000 people that they were able to locate getting away. Not counting the people they couldn't locate that got away with it. Subterranean, at a place they weren't looking, at a time they weren't looking. From 2,000 to under 100. Oh my God. Yeah, these aren't mistakes. This was an intentional treasonous act.
And the numbers you put up, Emily, I did some back of the envelope math. If you look at the percentage of criminals that are being arrested, because everyone's like, we don't want to get non-criminals, that's our focus, 73.4% of those arrested have been criminals or those with a criminal charge, more than 1,000 gang members. Think about all the lives saved from fentanyl, all the Lake and Rileys out there whose lives might have been saved because this administration's taking it seriously. Look at this headline. I couldn't believe it. I texted around. I was like, this can't be real. This happened in the middle of the Biden administration. This is NBC News this morning.
All right, that's nuts. And that's not immigration. That's an invasion. Look at Ireland. Look at Sweden. Look at Poland. Look at the UK. Look at all of Europe and look at what they're doing to replace the people there, to replace the indigenous people of those nations. Oh, colonization is bad. We're going to colonize America with non-Americans. Colonization is bad. We're going to colonize Ireland. We're going to colonize the UK from Central America, South America, Africa, Middle East, China, parts unknown, Kazakhstan, parts unknown. Colonization is bad. White people are bad. Meanwhile, I've been working with Vice President Biden to radically transform the United States of America through colonization. Two wrongs make a right in my math book, and we will usher in the next generation of dirty deep state Democrats forever perpetually hooked on free money coming from U.S. aid, hoping in return we will get Democrat votes, or even if they don't vote, we will produce their vote and deliver it through the mail that will be counted with some of the 30 million Social Security numbers that should belong to dead people. We'll assign Social Security to illegal alien invaders and radically fundamentally transform the United States of America. Thank you very much. I am Barack Obama. Check out my Significant Others podcast. I was not the first guest. There are reports. There are reports out there. A lot of people say. People are saying maybe Michelle and I may be on the rocks, maybe linked to Jennifer Aniston. Don't believe those rumors that we are working with ABC, ESPN, Disney to put out into the ecosystem, into the national subconscious on Jimmy Kimmel with Jennifer Aniston there to maybe cover up the fact that I'm not really into women. But let it be what it is and resist. That might be the longest I've ever tried to do an Obama. Obama. Obama auto parts. Wow. This is kind of funny. Trump after being elected. Have y'all seen this clip? Hitting the IRS. What the hell are you doing? The Department of Education, Hamas supporters, Zelensky, USA, Trudeau, Barry. Men and women's sports, paper straws, illegal immigrants. And the Democrats are going, what the heck? This is gold. Oh, that's funny. I hope you enjoyed that. Watch it again on silent. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. That's so good. Sean Farash here saying, the left wasted... What's my image? Yeah, it's cutting it off. That's Bro Rock Obama. I am a bro. A bro's bro. Sean Farash says the left wasted no time declaring all J6 protesters terrorists. Remember that? Hell, they even classified parents at school board meetings as domestic terrorists. Remember that? Recently, we've seen violent protests at Tesla dealerships, popular conservative voices being swatted, Trump Tower being occupied by pro-terror simps, numerous threats posted online on the life of Trump and Musk. Examples need to be made that this behavior is not acceptable. Arrest, prosecutions, real consequences. Anything short of that will set a very dangerous precedent. Where is our effing DOJ? Where is our effing DOJ button? Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, where the heck are you? Charlie Kirk here saying federal judges issued 15 nationwide injunctions against the Trump administration in February alone. In just 1 month, that's more nationwide injunctions than there were issued for the first 3 years of the Biden administration. District court judges are out of control, and Supreme Court must rein them in. Yes, David. I too recall when our longtime chef, a talented swimmer, he drowned at our property, and could you imagine the stories he would have told about Michelle and I, and the arguments we would have been having, being on the rocks. The jig is up. Joan Rivers knew. Tucker Carlson had that guest that called me Bathhouse Barry. Our chef could not be out there telling those stories. And coincidentally, maybe with a little help from the wet work friends of Hillary Clinton, maybe they did lend a hand in helping get rid of that chef. So those stories would never be told. And simply because you're asking, I would like to ask that we just drop it now. Let's not talk about that cook. Chef Boy, he dead. Oh my God. Chef Boy RD. Anyway, the judges are out of control. President Trump's media team, led by Kari Lake, will move to end massive contracts with the Associated Press and Reuters and other fake news outlets. With nearly $1 billion budget, there's no reason to pay biased journalists to push fake news. Bravo, good job. Here are the violent protesters who took over Trump Tower. And we just said more arrests, please. It has to happen. Here's James Comer talking with Benny Johnson about what needs to happen. Because Joe Biden, the fakest president, the fakest resident of the United States ever, he wasn't even there when the auto pen was being used. These things should all be thrown out, I think. President Trump is signing in public, making, like when he does the declaration, he is front and center. You know he's in charge. Biden's been a puppet of Obama for 4 years. The deep state puppet. Oh, where's the volume?
We had the White House tell us recently, Alina Habba, say, listen, power of attorney is a very important thing, and whoever signs a document better damn well be that person. If a president's running his entire administration through auto pen, then we really have questions about the legitimacy of what happened in the Biden administration. There's some very damning evidence that all but proves that the entire Biden hospice center was being run through a auto pen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that, Mr. Chairman?
Center.
As this is something that is very much in your wheelhouse.
I'm just glad to see the truth is finally coming out. I was one of the first members of Congress to suggest that Joe Biden appeared to be in the early stages of dementia. And people like Jake Tapper attacked me, and now Jake Tapper's got a book that I think is going to say what I said all along, but we'll see. At the end of the day, this auto pen is a very serious thing. I mean, you do auto pens on letters, you do auto pens on proclamations like wishing you a happy birthday, Benny, or something like that. You don't do auto pens on executive orders or on pardons and things like that. Especially if you've got a president that people have already, they kicked off the ticket because of things like the Hur report and a debate where he looked like he didn't know where he was and things like that. I mean, this adds to the question, who was really in charge? Was there some unelected bureaucrat calling the shots? Was the person standing behind the curtain that tells the media what to write, what to report? Was this the person that was telling some intern in the White House, sign that pardon for this person or that person on the auto pen, sign that executive order? I mean, this is very serious, and I hope that we can get to the bottom of it. There's no explanation for why the auto pen was used in this. There's not a single person in the Biden administration that's come out and said, oh, this is the reason why. Nothing.
Speaking of it being over, we had the White House tell us recently, Alina Habba, say, listen, power of attorney is a very important thing, and whoever signs a document better damn well be that person. If a president's running his entire administration through auto pen, then we really have questions about the legitimacy of what happened in the Biden administration. There's some very damning evidence.
By the way, what's up to Vegas Fletch? Thanks for joining us there. Make sure you all subscribe to us on Rumble. That is the lone avenue where we're monetized. We get a couple of pennies if you watch our ads on Rumble, and it adds up over time. It doesn't add up enough yet, but please subscribe to the New American Media on Rumble. Hello to Vegas Fletch. How are you? Regarding this conversation between Comer and Benny Johnson, Vegas Fletch says Jake Sullivan was running things. Jake Sullivan, the shadow president-in-chief, allegedly.
That all but proves that the entire Biden hospice center was being run through a...
Yeah, there you go. So was... actually, we'll ask that question. Was Jake Sullivan actually in charge of the Biden puppet regime? It's a good question to ask. And could we actually get some of these? Could we revoke the Fauci pardon? Anything to put him on trial for capital murder, for crimes against humanity? Can we please get Fauci? This one here, Raging West. What's the aspect ratio? I'll change it again. Okay, we'll keep it there. Egg prices have plummeted, and we're on the brink of a Russia-Ukraine long-term ceasefire deal. The legacy media is silent. Trump will go down in history. Awesome, Larry. Glad that you're watching. Happy to have you. Always appreciate having you in the comments. You guys, you're like all of your thoughts. This is a game of tennis. I love playing tennis with other people. I love jamming, playing some music with other musicians. Like you guys bring perspective and jokes and questions, and it just makes the show so much better. But yeah, the legacy media is silent. Trump will go down in history. Best president of my lifetime. It's not even close. There is no second best. I guess you could go back to Reagan. I mean, I was alive. I was a little kid. I don't remember, but like Reagan did some good stuff. Donald Trump here put this out. It says, if New York, Connecticut, and New England had their pipelines, savings from heating alone would go down $2,300 per family. When you add air conditioning and other things, you'd have $5,000 savings per family. All we need is a simple approval from New York. Every other state in New England plus Connecticut wants this in order to help the environment and save big money. Trump trying to make big moves here, common sense moves. We only need the final approval from New York State, whose people all want it. Otherwise, we'll have to use other authorities. New York State has held up this project for many years, but we won't let that happen any longer. We will use federal approval. Make America great again. Actually, there's the comment. Make New York great again. Button. Okay. Next. All right. Have you heard this story? Cristo Rey High School. Where is Cristo Rey? Let's ask Grok. Let's go to a new Grok. Cristo Rey High School story. 4 posts. Yeah, Larry saying the deep state tried to kill Reagan and he backed down. Yeah, remember that was that whole amnesty thing. Oh yeah. Yeah, this girls, everyone, this is the last chance we're going to have as a nation to put some of this stuff correct, to straighten out some of the mess. So it's all hands on deck. We have to be more involved than we ever have before. It's like, can't we just relax? Can't we? Trump's in office. Can't we just like calm down now? Like, it's so intense during an election season and everybody's so riled up. Can't we just relax? Hey, are the paid agitators relaxing? They're swatting people. They killed an InfoWars reporter. They're burning Teslas. They're occupying buildings and trashing stuff. Pro-Hamas people everywhere. 30 million illegal alien invaders in our country. Pre-positioned, waiting to get the signal. And the light switch has been flipped. They are attacking people right now. This is the moment we have to be more engaged than ever before. So yeah, the deep state did try to get rid of Reagan. Deep state tried to get rid of Trump multiple times. They wanted to arrest him so badly. Trumping up charges. Future generations will never believe that trumped up charges didn't come from Donald Trump, that phrase originated elsewhere, because it perfectly describes what Trump has been going through. We all hands on deck. Let's go. Let's row in the same direction. Okay, I asked Grok, and it says, yeah, Cristo Rey High School, Catholic. Oh, it's a network of college prep schools. No, hold on. High school hidden cameras. Cristo Rey Jesuit High School, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, involving hidden cameras. The school faced a serious breach of trust when a hidden camera discovered in the girls' locker room, allegedly installed by Fernando Bustos, a 41-year-old former security coordinator at the school. Bustos, who was terminated in February 25 for performance reasons, left behind personal items that school staff cataloged on February 18. They found a small black camera and an SD card containing hundreds of videos, reportedly nearly 400, recording between May of 24 and February 25, capturing female students, mostly under 18, in various states of undress near the hand-washing area of the locker room. One video even showed Bustos setting up motion-activated device inside a locker with grates, positioning it to face the sinks. Discovery triggered outrage. Anyway, that's the story. That's the background. I didn't have the background for this article, but look, parents don't let these people leave. The school board tries to leave without answering the angry parents' questions. And they're blocking the doors. You are not leaving. You're going to sit there and answer our questions. You're not running away from us. This is the energy we need to have for pedos everywhere. Track them down, hold them accountable. You want to mess with people's kids? Yeah, mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns. Oh, hell no. Got to get answers, you creeps. All right, talking about the federal judges who are actively undermining the president's authority. This is Steve Bannon on Real America's Voice.
And this is just an escalation of what we see federal judges doing.
And this is Julie Kelly.
In other jurisdictions, particularly Washington, D.C., actively undermining the president's authority and his policy agenda to significantly reduce the federal workforce. And you have labor unions and other Democratic interest groups who are suing the president and his administration. And these federal judges, including this 80-year-old Clinton-appointed judge in San Francisco, only too happy to go along with this. Really is, and this is just an escalation.
So how do we remove these judges? How do we take care of this? You got bribed and bought off partisan judges, activists pretending to be judges. How do we handle this? We got to figure it out. Gentry Gevers, this is reporting real Chase Geyser, Nick Sortor, and Gunther Eagleman, not to be confused with Brian Engelman, that's me, they were swatted in the last 24 hours. The left will stop at nothing to intimidate people who speak the truth. This will happen again. It's now a trend. Other conservative influencers will get swatted. The left is using the systems in place to persecute us. We must locate and indict the domestic terrorists who are swatting MAGA members. Hurry up with the investigation before someone gets hurt. Because they're trying to kill these people is what's happening. Red Pill Truth here saying, don't give in to the media psychological warfare. Well, I can go back. There. Now it's in the right dynamic, right? The right aspect ratio. Am I using the right hang on, aspect ratio. I always say that. I think what I'm saying makes sense. It's something specific like calculating aspect ratio, applying it to an image. Yeah, I don't know. It's the layout. It's really just the layout I'm trying to say. Red Pill Truth says, don't give in to the media psychological warfare, okay? Let's remember to keep our brains focused, clear, moving in the right direction, positive. Got to stay positive. Yeah, yeah, Larry saying over here, we can't take our foot off of their neck. It's time to, well, okay. Politically, we're going to stomp them politically. And yes, that person is sick in that school. And it's time to arrest the activist judges. Trump should ignore these judges, just like Biden ignored the Supreme Court on student debt relief. We got to get a playbook that is consistent. Whatever the playbook is, we need to stick with it. We need to identify what we can and can't do. Because they're using every trick in the book to just slow down Trump, to block his agenda. And it's so stupid. It's like, hey, I'd like to give you more money. Nope, I want to block it. I'd like to stop wasting your money. Nope, that has to be blocked. I'd like to do common sense things and lower energy costs. Nope, we got to block that. It's like all they're doing is making your life shittier. That's the entire purpose of the left, is to make your life shittier. So we got to remove these people, impeach them, vote them out. But listen, don't give in to the media psychological warfare. It's been just 53 days. A reset of the economy and government is underway. This rotting structure is being removed and the vermin are scattering. In its place will be built a stronger country for everyone. Don't give in to the panic that they are selling. And by the way, the auto pen might be their downfall.
Take a look at he signs by auto pen. Who is signing all this stuff by auto pen? Who would think you signed important documents by auto pen? You know, these are major documents. You're signing, you're proud to sign them. You have your signature on something. In 300 years, they say, oh, look, can you imagine? Everything was signed by auto pen, almost everything. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So, should have never happened. Take a look at he signs by auto pen. Who is signing all this stuff by auto pen? Who would think you signed important documents by auto pen? You know, these.
So it's going to be interesting because everyone knows Biden was out to lunch. He wasn't really there. Was it Jake Sullivan? Who was the person that was responsible for what was happening? And can any of it be undone? Raging West says Poland now has the second lowest unemployment rate in Europe. It's seeking nuclear weapons, and it will soon have a higher GDP per capita than Japan. Poland will be the next European powerhouse, and we all know why. Do you know why? Here you go, libs of TikTok. Showing you a video of unhinged transgender activists invading a Vermont capitol to protest and disrupt a scheduled detransition event. Yeah, you know what? You're pushing some radical stuff, transgender activists. And if you're going to, how about this? We need to hear from the people who did the things that you are advocating people do, but they have horrific stories to share. They have horror stories that should inform your opinion as well as you consider whether or not you have the answer to every question under God's green earth. But here they are.
Exactly for this, to not try to censor or disrupt. It's for civil discussion. It's not for censoring any one party. You are the ones who are actually violating the First Amendment by being disruptive. Not being realized.
So, I mean, is this real life? You need to listen to the people that have been convinced and coerced to these unnecessary procedures. And you need to listen to people who say it was the worst decision they ever made. Because you're leading a lot of people towards something that could be calamitous, disastrous. You got to protect the kids. And if so, like I said, I have a pretty consistent opinion. If someone really demands that they want to have some of these surgeries and procedures, if you want to spend your own money to do it at 18 years old, you can mangle your perfectly functional parts, even though you're perfect the way God created you. You're fine to dress how you want to dress and love who you want to love. You don't need to add all these surgical procedures to feel more than because you feel less than. You're fine. Love who you want, but I'd advise you against mangling your genitals so you can't ever procreate or have an orgasm again. I think you should really consider what's happening. You can't become a man. You can't become a woman. You can have all sorts of surgeries. You can go to great efforts to provide the outward appearance of being something that you're not, but that doesn't mean you actually become something that you're not. A carrot cannot become a potato. An elephant cannot become a giraffe. They're just different. Not better, not worse. And you're allowed to love who you want to love. Just urinate in the bathroom of your sex. I would not have a problem with a dude taking a leak at the urinal next to me, as opposed in a dress, compared to a dude taking a leak in the toilet of the ladies' room, creeping on people. No thanks. So yeah, Super Sal saying it's a mental illness. It's gender dysphoria. It's people thinking there's something that they're not, and we need to work with people who have a warped version of what they are and what they are not. You are loved. You're perfect. You're fine. You're good as you are. You're not a man. You're not like you are what you are. And the people pushing this Obama doctrine, I know Obama's at the center of this with him and Michelle and Joan Rivers and all the stuff that they've advocated for and the stuff they've tried to forcefully cram down America's throat. That like I said, we are emerging from perhaps the weirdest, dumbest time in American history. What about World War II? What about slavery? Yeah, we won World War II and we stopped slavery. So this era is dumber. This era is dumber. DC Drano, nothing to see here. Just Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Bernie Sanders saying, well, what are they saying?
Simply must make the cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare. We owe it to our country.
There is an enormous amount of waste and fraud and abuse in this government. When there is waste and fraud, you have an administration who should also be on top of that situation.
If we're going to eliminate the waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare.
And by the way, my God, have Pelosi, Schumer, and Bernie Sanders gotten old.
Does mean we're going to cut some of that out. We want to cut the bad stuff and keep the good stuff.
We simply.
And that's all that MAGA and Elon and Trump are doing. Cutting the bad stuff, keeping the good stuff. Here's J.D. Vance giving.
First of all, I think the president's been very clear.
Yeah, by the way, Larry, once you transition, it's forever. There's no going back. You can't undo that damage. And if there are detransitioners that are saying, my God, this changed my life and not for the better, and I wish I could talk to the younger version of myself to talk me out of it, we need to hear that. That is some of the most valid opinions come from people who have the shared experiences. They can tell you what it's like. I haven't done that. I felt no compelling reason to do something like that. You need to listen to people saying, stop, this is a terrible idea. And I'm so, I will be forever scarred and distraught that I listened to people who told me that I should do this. They were wrong. Anyway, talking about people needing to calm down regarding the economics and the negotiation phase of tariffs, here's Vice President J.D. Vance laying it out.
He wants to impose tariffs on foreign importers because he wants to bring investment and jobs back to the United States of America. So what I'd say to those business leaders is I think the president has actually been quite clear about what he wants to accomplish. Build more in the United States of America, invest more in the United States of America, raise wages for workers in the United States of America, and you don't have to pay these tariffs at all. There is, as the president has said, a recognition that we have to accept, which is that, look, Joe Biden left this economy in a disaster. He ran the highest peacetime deficits we've ever had in this country. He left us with a significant debt crisis. And the president has come in and said, look, we have to accomplish a lot of things simultaneously. We have to bring down inflation, which I think we're making some good progress on. We have to actually ensure critical government services like Social Security and the military function for the American people. And we also have to force businesses to invest more, not overseas, not in Chinese workers, but in, first of all, I think the president's been.
But in America. Yeah, we commented it's time for the external revenue instead of internal revenue. Let's erase all the craziness from 1913 that's tried to destroy America. What do? The Federal Reserve, ADL, income tax. 1913 with Woodrow Wilson was just the most calamitous year. It's time we research what 1913 was about and look at what we've accepted as reality. This Internal Revenue Service. Income tax, Federal Reserve private banking, ADL, we can't have opinions on certain topics. No thanks. Not in our country. None of that belongs here. You can take that where you want to take that. That shouldn't be here. And President Trump is trying to put some new systems in place, finally. So, once again, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, Grand Architect of the universe, the supreme being of the cosmos, please continue to protect President Trump, his family, his team, everybody working on the process of making humanity better with better policies in America and globally. Amen. I would love to see these things come to fruition. And then we'll see next time. We'll see next year. I heard rumors that Don Jr. might be running for office. I don't know. Would it be J.D. Vance? Will it be Don Jr.? I don't know. Emerald Robinson here saying, Representative James Comer just announced that fraud charges will be filed against Democrat fundraising platform Act Blue for large-scale money laundering. Bravo. Let's go. You stop the funding, you stop the crazy. These people are getting paid. They're paid agitators, AstroTurf, paid protesters. That's what's going on here. Emerald saying that might explain why 7 senior officials resigned last week. Yeah, I mean, often people will see a company starting to do things that they don't agree with, and they will step aside and go, I don't want to be affiliated with this company anymore. You're doing things that make me uncomfortable, things that are illegal. I want no part of it. I'm walking away. Get me out. Larry saying they can't let Trump have credit for cleaning up the fraud and waste. I know. Democrats are the worst. Just do the thing that helps America. I would have been okay if Biden was doing stuff that actually helped America. He wasn't. He was selling us out for 30 pieces of silver. 20 pieces of silver? How many pieces of silver? 20. How many pieces of silver? Jesus. It's just 20? 30. 20. Doggone it, it was 30. Grok tells me, according to the Gospel of Matthew in the New Testament, Jesus was betrayed by Judas Iscariot for 30. How do I pronounce that? Iscariot? For 30 pieces of silver. Specifically mentioned Matthew 26:15, where Judas asks the chief priests, what are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you? And they give him 30 silver coins. This amount has become infamous as a symbol of betrayal. 10% for the big guy. All right. Larry says it's going to take some time and some pain to unwind 112 years of deep state economic policies. Oh, yeah. And look at this. This is so perfect. Charlie Kirk says only Trump could make liberals hate electric cars. Okay. Kenneth saying maybe it should be Engelman 2028. Do I have what it takes? I don't know. I think I have some common sense policies. I think I'm a pretty smart dude. Would I want to? Okay. I'd do it. I'd do it. But yeah, look at that. Only Trump could make liberals hate electric cars. That is perfect. All right, here you go. Here's our top story.
We agree with the propositions to stop hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that such ceasefire should be such that would lead to a permanent peace and remove the initial, original causes of the crisis.
And remove the initial causes of the crisis. These are the troops built up on the Russian border as Ukraine was trying to enter NATO. Is that what we're talking about? The weaponry?
We agree with the propositions to stop hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that such ceasefire should be such that would lead to a permanent peace and remove the initial, original causes of the crisis. We agree with the propositions.
All right, there you go. Sure hope Zelensky isn't playing Obama-style okey doke on the peace deal. Sure hope this peace is long lasting. New York City anti-ICE and pro-Palestine protesters have taken over the first floor of Trump Tower, calling for detained Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil to be released. Oh, Scooter Caster. I know Scooter. She's everywhere. Actually had dinner with Scooter and friends. Okay. What's your thoughts on this Mahmoud Khalil? Should he be allowed to be, should he be released because we have a First Amendment right? Or should he be removed because he's not American or because his ideas are bad? Like, what's your take on this? You know, I've seen people that I respect saying that this is wrong, this is totalitarian, this is a really bad precedent to set. You can't, I mean, why can't you have opinions in America? Or is it because he's not an American citizen? Hold on, what is this Mahmoud Khalil? Let me just double check this. Is Mahmoud Khalil American? Or is he coming into our house? He's not an American citizen. He's a Syrian, Palestinian born in Syria with Algerian citizenship, a lawful permanent resident of the United States holding a green card. His status as a permanent resident was subject to revocation, which occurred when he was detained by immigration as part of the Trump administration action targeting his pro-Palestinian activism. Being a green card holder grants residency and certain rights in the U.S., but it does not confer citizenship. Therefore, while he lived legally in the U.S., he is not American by nationality. Should he be deported? Let's hear the the pros and cons. I've seen people that I respect saying that this should not be happening. It's a complex question. We can deport through the Secretary of State if their presence or activities would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. His role as a negotiator and spokesman for the pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia in 2024. The administration linked that as support for Hamas, who is a U.S. designated terrorist organization. Green card holders can be deported. It's not automatic. It requires a process. Ethically, opinions are split sharply. Supporters of deportation argue that permanent residency is a privilege, not a right. And advocating for causes tied to terrorism, even indirectly, forfeits that privilege. Critics counter that targeting Khalil for peaceful protests sets a dangerous precedent for free expression, especially since he hasn't been convicted of any crime. His personal stakes, married to a U.S. citizen with a child due soon, add a human layer to the debate. See, look, these are a couple paragraphs. I'm getting smarter about this issue because I think I covered it a day or two ago. And I was like, deuces, see you later. But then, someone I respect, really came out strongly against President Trump, against these actions. In all of this, you're not allowed to criticize our 51st state, Israel. I am not down with that. I'm MAGA. I care about America. I care about our 50 states and our territories. This whole thing that Ron DeSantis is doing with speech laws, and you can't criticize certain communities, you can't criticize certain nations. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. Oh, I'm getting sunlight now on my face. This is brand new. I'm going to have to address this. Look at that. I got sunlight on my face. Whoops, why'd it go that way? Okay, why is this happening? Oh my God. Okay, I've repositioned the studio, but now I'm getting glare. At this time of day, what is it? I noticed it at 12:51 p.m. Okay. Anyway, back to the story. But look, I'm trying to consider multiple perspectives on this. Politically, this fits the Trump administration's broader agenda to crack down on perceived threats, including campus activism it labels as anti-Semitic or pro-terrorist. Can't you be against the actions of Israel? Can't you be against the actions of Palestine? Can't you be against the actions of Russia? Can't you be against the actions of Ukraine? Or is it only one of those four that you can't have an opinion on? And if that's the case, hey, you're trying to force me to start having opinions on these topics. I've tried to stay out of this Middle East crap my whole life. I've tried to stay out of it. I am anti-radical Islam that kind of sort of masquerades as a religious movement, when in reality it's a political overthrow. It's a caliphate. It's the pre-Crusades. It's an invasion. It's a takeover. No-go zones in the UK. Look at the enclaves that gave us what's her name? The Somali enclaves in Minnesota that gave us Ilhan Omar. I'm against radical Islam that wants to dominate and take over the government. That's a plan. I'm against that. I don't want to see people dying indiscriminately. I don't want to see it in Ukraine. I don't want to see it in Gaza. I don't like it. But I've kind of tried to stay out of it. And honestly, hell, ask Blake. I've done hundreds of shows with Blake. Every time that issue comes up, my perspective is just, I woke up in a world where there was a state called Israel. It's there. Deal with it. Move on. The Palestinians, Hamas, Hezbollah, all these groups, they will not stop until Israel is wiped off the map. That is their mission statement. That is their goal. They will do anything and everything to further those means. It seems a little much to completely exterminate. But then you start digging deeper and digging deeper and digging deeper. And you're not supposed to dig deep onto this topic, which makes me wonder, which side should we be supporting? Why is the Epstein list not out yet? Why do politicians seem to always side with that one government? There's a lot of questions. Larry saying Israel is not innocent. Oh, and they're being saved for last for a reason. I've heard this before. What is the reason they're being saved for last? Okay, I've heard that. But you're also saying that you should deport this guy. Why would you want to deport him, Larry? Also, your guess is that Eric Trump runs in 28? Well, the rumor I heard was that it was Don Jr. And remember, President Trump was asked about J.D. Vance and how's he doing. He says, oh, J.D.'s doing great. And they said, well, so is J.D., is he the presumptive candidate for 2028? And he goes, nope, but he's doing great. Halo. Did I say Halo? Hello, Moto. So look, I have questions about this Mahmoud guy and all this pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel, anti-Semitism. Come on. Anti-Semitism isn't any worse than anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, whatever you are, people will be against. There's anti-movements. Are we allowed to have opinions or not? And if not, why not? Here's this angry little guy. Democrat socialist, New York City mayoral candidate Zoharan Mamdani was seen in Albany losing it at border czar Tom Homan over the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. Imagine being against an invasion of your country. Is this Zohran? Is this guy an American citizen? He's trying to be a mayor, but is that a sanctuary city? I don't know. And yelling about the recent detention of Mahmoud Khalil, Columbia University student and anti-Israel activist.
How many more New Yorkers are not charged? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? I mean, why can't you have opinions?
How many more New Yorkers will the judge red target?
I'm walking back my original stance, and I'm open to hearing a robust conversation about this. 64-year-old Carl Lundstrom, co-founder of the free file sharing and BitTorrent website The Pirate Bay, has died on a plane crash in Slovenia at age 64. Take that story for what it's worth. He was a major donor for the right-wing Alternative for Sweden party. He was traveling from the Croatian capital of Zagreb to Zurich from Z to Z in Switzerland when his plane crashed. Authorities say his Mooney M20 aircraft went down due to bad weather. And by the way, how many assassinations have had to do with airplanes going down? A lot, actually. Police have now confirmed a Swedish pilot's body has been found. Live from America, TV says the White House has withdrawn its nomination of Dr. Dave Weldon to serve as the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reportedly due to Weldon's recent comments against vaccines. Aren't we allowed to question what the side effects of vaccines are? We should be, and we should starve the companies that don't allow us to talk about vaccines. YouTube has demonetized, deleted. Oh, it's harmful medical misinformation. Fuck you, YouTube. Fuck you. You're not a doctor. You're not my doctor. You ain't my daddy either. You don't know shit. You are not the lone arbiter of truth. I'm going to research what I put in my body. You're not going to stop me. You can ride out of here on the horse that you came in on. Can't stand YouTube, how they ruined Google, or how Google ruined YouTube. Facebook, Instagram. They deleted my company page. They deleted my personal profile. They suspended my personal profile. Never gave me a legitimate reason. Never had the opportunity to remedy any alleged issue by a conversation. Do I need to edit something? Is there something what are we doing? Nothing. Meta has been evil when it comes to censorship of information. And they weaponized all of us who were pointing out what was happening for the last 5 years with COVID. Demonized us, pointing out the side effects, pointing out the maladies that Americans are suffering through because of the food and the medicine that we're putting inside of our bodies. Yeah, Larry, YouTube used to be awesome. YouTube used to be awesome. It's hard to remember when it was. But yeah. Anyway. There are reports circulating that the Trump administration is expected to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 as a presidential proclamation in an effort to speed up mass deportations of illegal migrants. Good. President Donald Trump announced that the U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries. President Trump says the European Union, one of the most hostile and abusive taxing and tariff authorities in the world, which was formed for the sole purpose of taking advantage of the United States, has just put a nasty 50% tariff on whiskey. If this tariff is not removed, immediately the U.S. will... That's the other stuff she reported. And Italian fashion icon Donatella Versace stepping down as creative director of her late brother's brand after 30 years. She'll be a brand ambassador. Okay, well, whatever. So did Trump and Vance really negotiate peace? I don't know, but we sure hope so. Okay, here's more problems on an airline.
Like that.
Colorado, American Airlines Flight 4012 caught fire after an engine failed and then was then diverted to Denver. Passengers were evacuated. Here they are walking off of the wing of the plane.
Well, it doesn't look like we're flying out today now.
That comment, did I miss a gender reveal?
Don't laugh too hard, it might impact everyone.
Yeah. Maybe not. Good. That was quick.
So anyway, there's more reasons to fly our friendly skies. Here you go about the shutdown. This was the clip I was waiting to get to. Looks like Chucky Schumer changed his mind.
Rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision, it's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option. It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option. And before I explain why, let me be clear about one Republican rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision, it's a Hobson's choice.
Okay, we're back to the beginning.
Either
I really wish YouTube wouldn't automatically play that stuff. Truth is authority and authority is not truth. Yeah, sorry for swearing, you guys. Like, I do usually try to tamp that stuff down, but sometimes I just, when it comes to censorship, fuck off. I can't even tell you how much the new American media has been handcuffed, shadow banned, demonetized, hidden, harmed, targeted, abused for 14 fucking years. I mean, I keep trying to build a foundation and they keep pulling the rug out from underneath. It's been quicksand. They're not honest business partners. Larry was saying about the protesters, arrest all these activist judges. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was a different, I thought I was reading a different comment there. Anyway, you get my point. But yeah, Chuck Schumer. Oh, the Hobson's choice. I wasn't familiar with it. So a Hobson's choice, according to Grok, I like Grok as a search engine on X. It's a situation where someone is faced with an apparent choice, but in reality, there is only one viable option. The term comes from Thomas Hobson, a 16th century livery stable owner in England, who reportedly gave his customers the choice of taking the horse closest to the door or no horse at all. It's essentially a take it or leave it scenario. For example, if your boss says you can work overtime tonight, or you can find another job, that's a Hobson's choice. Work late or you're out. The illusion of freedom is there, but the outcome is pretty much dictated. Okay, thanks for educating me on a Hobson's choice, Chucky Schumer. Next. Department of Justice is launching a criminal probe into New York City hotels used as migrant shelters. We Are Breitbart says the days of madness are over. Time for accountability for all that's been done to our nation. 2 hotels used as migrant shelters in New York City are now under criminal investigation in the news coming after Mayor Eric Adams said his city was overflowing with border crossers and illegal aliens. When I went to the Bronx, the people there were furious that any of their resources were going to illegal alien invaders. They hated what the Democrats and Biden have done to their city. Hated it. U.S. Department of Justice probing the funding and operations at these locations that have received subpoenas, Fox News reported on Thursday. Roosevelt Hotel being used as a migrant shelter and an intake center. Stewart Hotel used as a migrant shelter. In addition, Hotel Chandler also received a subpoena, but the location is reportedly only a shelter for the homeless. Fox article said the subpoenas mentioned an alleged violation of federal immigration law. According to CBS New York, 170,000 migrants have been processed via the Roosevelt Hotel since 23. Oh yeah, that's just 23. Go back further, that number's higher. The outlet said officials are reportedly asking for the names and birth dates of migrants connected to the locations. Time for the treason charges already. Enough is enough. There you go. But once again, is this just going to be another? Oh, they're researching a thing. They're going to have a strongly worded letter. All these protesters that Larry was saying we should get rid of. We should get them gone. Here's Natalie Winters on Real America's Voice explaining who are these paid protesters?
The sort of grassroots Democrats are on this, right? If you look in the same way that our audience knows just how we hound our senators, our representatives, you're seeing the same exact thing go down now with the Democrat grassroots. For example, right, these groups that were organizing those town halls to oppose DOJ, groups like Indivisible, they have shepherded all their resources, they have rallied the troops, and they are descending not just upon Washington, but into these districts to really go, or I guess these states, to go after these senators to make sure that they hold the line and basically force Trump into a shutdown. That is sort of the line, the angle of attack that they're taking. I want to put the pictures up on screen for you, Steve, though. Groups like Indivisible, particularly, the shutdown, they're framing it through the lens of Musk or us. And they are now they are reimbursing protesters, whether it's at town halls or wherever it may be, hundreds of dollars for daring to come out and criticize the Trump administration and just basically support these senators who are not going to potentially join that, gang of 8 and help avert a government shutdown. So I think is where the sort of grassroots.
All right, so there you go. By the way, what did I just pull up? I want to show you this. Take a look at what ScrewTube has done. Copyrighted material on the New American Media dashboard. Oh my, look at that. Did a video about Diddy and Epstein. Copyright details. There's no copyrighted content found in your video, but it's still tagged. It's still listed as a problem. We don't hate these social media companies nearly enough. All right, let's get back to Laura Trump talking about what the people voted for.
What's amazing is the American people spoke very loudly on November 5th. And one of the things they voted for was transparency and accountability in our government. And that's exactly what President Trump is delivering for the American people. So it's incredible to see folks in the mainstream media hysterical and folks on the left and the swamp creatures, Stuart, we know reside in Washington, D.C., get all worked up over the fact that Donald Trump wants people to show up. He wants them to do their job, and he will call you out if you aren't doing your job properly. And anyone who is afraid of that is probably a person who should have never been in that position in the first place.
Yep. Move them out. Samuel Adams here. Here's a nice prescient quote. The Constitution shall never be construed to authorize Congress to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms. Never forget. Scottish fans, according to Raging West, is this a real image? It might be, because Europe's fighting back. Europe has been suffering under the Obama doctrine to flood their country full of non-residents to permanently change the makeup of their society. They're done with it. Why would anyone want, if you're living in Columbus, Ohio, why would you want 30,000 fans of the University of Michigan to move in next door? You don't want it. That's not your culture. You don't owe them anything. You don't want to live next to all those Wolverine fans. That's what they did. 30,000 Haitians into Springfield. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. JD, they're eating the cats. Springfield, Ohio, right by Columbus. They dump in 30,000 people rooting for the Wolverines. That's Buckeye territory. There's no shared history. There's no shared experiences. You don't have much in common with these people. You have your society. You have your culture. You have your neighborhoods, your communities, your shared experiences. But the Obama doctrine is we need to pump non-white people everywhere. We need to overthrow these countries from the inside out. Because when we colonize, that's good. But when Europeans were colonizing, that was the worst. Got it, Barry. Got it. So here in Scotland, Scottish fans are sending a strong message to the establishment against Fenerbahce in the Europa League. No one can hold back the revolution. This sign says, keep woke foreign ideologies out. Defend Europe. Make Europe great again. And by the way, woke is not about white or non-white. Woke is about a mind virus. Yes, I guess it is, because woke targets white people precisely. You always got to find a target. Hitler's like, it was the Jews. Obama's like, it's the whites. Oh, stop it. Obama never said that. Obama-Biden policies definitely said that. Biden was Obama's third and most honest term because it was Obama's puppet. That meeting that I played yesterday where Joe Biden was talking with Alejandro Mayorkas about how America will no longer be European majority, and that's a good thing. It's like you could see the earpiece and Barack in the basement. Now, Joe, say that's a good thing, that whites will not be, there'll be less whites. That's a good thing. Michelle, can you believe this ignorant asshole, this corrupt, decrepit, Weekend at Bernie's puppet, Joe Biden? Can you believe he's actually saying this anti-white crap that I'm giving him to read? Get a load of this. Yes, it all is blended together, and the world is rejecting woke. And woke is shame. It's from the media, from your teachers, to shame you, to silence you. You're going to want to sit this one out. Your opinions aren't valid. We're seeking the opinions of only a select group of people. It's the worst. It's the worst. Luckily, the globe is rejecting it. Make Europe great again. Woke is a joke. Everything woke turns to shit, says Trump.
What does Trump expect?
By the way, Maxine, one of the race dividers in chief, pushing the Obama doctrine that we have resoundingly said, get your divisive racial bullshit out of here. All we care about is people that care about our Bill of Rights. We care about this country. We care about competency in air traffic controllers. I don't know a single person that says we should have fewer Filipina air traffic controllers. Nobody gives a shit what people look like. We care. No. The Obama doctrine people care, because as long as you're not white and not a man and not straight and not Christian, they have to balance out because there's too many straight white Christian males. So people like Maxine Waters get out here and start running their mouth about this type of crap. Constant division from the Obama doctrine initiate, graduate herself, Maxine Waters.
Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation.
You mean when you activated and your party, your deep state Democrat party, activated all your terrorists to start going after MAGA media members? MAGA media member? That's a triple word score. Triple M. MAGA media members getting swatted. Every one of those is an attempted murder. You're hoping there's an itchy trigger finger. You're hoping that somebody ends up in a Breonna Taylor situation where the door's kicked in. It's fog of war. You don't know what's happening. You think you're being invaded, so you come out shooting, and you're destroyed. Or that you just go in like Biden did to that fat guy in Utah and you just blew his house up. You didn't wait till he went to Walmart and just arrest him peacefully. You went in and blew his house apart, killed him. That's what they're doing with their swatters. That's what they're doing attacking Tesla dealerships. That's what they're doing attacking Teslas. That's what they're doing attacking Tesla owners. That's what they're doing with their boycotts to stop people from advertising on X. These people are unhinged, violent sociopaths, these deep state Democrats. Maxine Waters is throwing fuel onto this because she's projecting what's in her heart and what's in her political party's playbook. Political party playbook. Oh my God, that was another triple word score.
I believe he's working toward a civil war.
No, you are doing that. Remember your summer of love? Remember 2020 when you burned America down? All in an effort to try to get rid of Trump? We remember.
What does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence.
Oh, what a piece of trash, this Maxine Waters.
My question for you, Charlie, is that given
a Charlie Kirk question
that Donald Trump's cabinet is worth a total of $460 billion, is that not an indication that MAGA is about putting elites first and Americans last?
No.
What makes the MAGA movement put Americans first?
Well, we have a border now. So under Joe Biden, there was 13,000 people a day coming across the southern border. Now no people are coming across the southern border. About 200.
That's a win.
100 a day, and none of them are coming into the interior of the country. So we stopped the invasion. That definitionally is putting Americans first, right?
And that was an invasion.
How is preventing more refugees and undocumented immigrants from entering the country putting Americans first?
Well,
those aren't refugees. These aren't undocumented immigrants. This is illegal alien invasion perpetrated by Mayorkas, Obama, Biden, Harris, the deep state Democrat Party to permanently restock the blue cities that lost. They hemorrhaged residents in these big blue cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, because everybody had to move out because the Democrats, left unchecked, the deep state Democrat globalist leaders, they made life living hell for people during COVID. So the people said, I'm voting with my feet and my dollars. I'm one that did. I fled Los Angeles. They had a plan to restock those areas to get permanent voters, to change our demographics, to change our values. People that don't speak the language, people that haven't taken a citizenship test. We haven't screened them for criminal background to see what type of monsters, Lake and Riley, we've invited into this country. It's madness. These aren't refugees. This is bullshit. These people that are intentionally trying to use these tear-jerking words you should believe in our cause. No, we should not. The cause has been bastardized by the bad actions of the Democrats. If you're mad at us for not trusting your deep state Democrats, get better leaders, because what they did, it was treason. No, it's not a humanitarian thing. It was treason.
Well, my wages aren't any higher.
Hold on.
No one else's wages has increased as a result. We are still struggling to buy food and health care insurance and so on.
In this state, they say that between $20 to $30 billion is spent on illegal immigrants. Everybody in this audience, your taxpayer dollars should be spent on Americans, not on foreigners. We should reward Americans and America, not foreigners that come to our nation.
My question for you, Charlie, is that given that Donald Trump's cabinet is where
All right, I got an idea. How about the Department of Justice needs to bill the Democrat Party for all these expenses and then bankrupt them? Is that a pretty good idea? I dropped it in the comments. Hey, how about this? Dear Doge, if you put Hillary Clinton's arrest on pay-per-view, you'd settle the national debt. I like that thought. Bobby Kennedy, yep. Going after the grass chemicals in foods. We already shared that, talked about that. And those are, once again, titanium dioxide linked to DNA damage, cancer, European Union banned. Potassium bromate, suspected carcinogen, banned in Europe. In Japan, red dye 40, yellow 5 and 6, linked to behavioral issues. All right, let's go. Nancy Mace going to work.
Fact check some of my colleagues on today is this idea, it's been said by multiple people, online in this hearing today that it's not illegal to come here illegally. Well, under Title 8, it actually is. Title 8 USC 1325 about the improper entry of an alien. It is breaking the law when you enter here illegally. And our witness, Ms. Doyle, cited in her opening presentation the 10th Amendment, that it gives absolute control to states and cities and counties to handle the immigration issue. It actually doesn't. And if I'm shocked as an attorney that you don't know the law, because it says under the law in multiple places, especially in long-standing Supreme Court precedent. But the 10th Amendment says the power is not delegated to the federal government or reserved for the states.
And by the way, the 10th Amendment is essentially why abortion was kicked back to the states. It's because it's not mentioned in it's not there. Like, it's not a federal government power. Like, they don't just, that's a state's issue. Good or bad, it's just that's how the system is set up.
Congress power to regulate immigration.
Whereas we have a right to our Second Amendment, but states are violating that, and we need to finally stop that from happening. I'd like to see a little bit more of a full court press on that while we have Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and President Trump and JD Vance. Let's go for reciprocity. Let's boldly declare that none of these city and state what am I trying to say? City and state policies, laws that prohibit us from keeping and carrying firearms. This stuff needs to all be revoked, because that is abhorrent to our Constitution. Hence, it's not enforceable because it's not allowable. It's not a law. It can't be a law because it's anti-constitutional, unconstitutional. I wish we'd spend some more time on that topic. But anyway, she continues.
Primarily stems from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4. And that is the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. And under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, power to regulate commerce with foreign nations. I'm not even an attorney, and I could easily look that up. I think we need to have higher standards for those who are lawyers and also practicing law and teaching law to our students, because there's a long-standing Supreme Court precedent also that's recognized Congress as having plenary power over immigration and not actually the states. And plenary means absolute control. So last year, I exposed a sanctuary sheriff who was doing day after day after day, months after months. I exposed her for releasing the worst of the worst, the most violent, those illegals that were committing the worst possible crimes. I fought to get rid of this sanctuary sheriff, Kristen Graziano, when I had documents sent to me by a whistleblower, and I ended up talking to multiple sources about this. I was one of the only elected officials that caught out our sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina, Kristen Graziano. No one in statewide elected office, not my Attorney General Alan Wilson, not my Lieutenant Governor Pam Yvette, if you're listening and you're watching, you stood by silent as a sanctuary sheriff let out murderers, let out rapists, let out child molesters and pedophiles out onto the streets of South Carolina. It was wrong. It was unethical. It was illegal. I had 145 Democrats vote against my bill, the Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act. 145 Democrats voted against deporting those who are here illegally, the worst of the worst, murderers, rapists, pedophiles. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
That's insane. I got a comment from Larry asking if
today,
if the Haitians are still there, and there have been reports that some of them have been, some of them have self-deported and went back home. Some of them went to Chicago and New York, and others are still there. And Governor DeWine has credited them for helping fill jobs. And my point was just train the people that are there. Those people need jobs. Yeah, well, they're junkies. Good. Well, then get them the help that they need to get clean, become productive members of society. Don't take those resources, give them to non-Americans. So some have deported, but yeah, most are still there, allegedly. Here's Ukrainian journalist Diana Pachenko criticizing Zelensky. Here we go.
Hey, I ask for your attention. Zelensky took Ukraine hostage. We want freedom. He imprisoned or killed anyone who dared to speak out. We need your help. Thousands of cases have been opened under the charge of treason. The defense carries a life sentence. In fact, it's even worse. I'm sharing a list of people who suffered for the truth, people who emailed me and whose cases we managed to confirm. Those are journalists, priests, politicians. All of them are in prison now on fabricated charges. They are being tortured and beaten. It's just a fraction about whom we managed to find out. I believe in power of free speech. Please share this list. I'll attach it to the video. Save people from dictator Zelensky.
Also, we put justice for Gonzalo Lira, American journalist who was tortured and killed over there. Shame on them. Shame on them. You funded this thing, created it, had such substandard conditions that this thing gets out. I want to play this, but it's got music.
Okay, so you funded this thing.
It's the Gladiator song, so I'll just have to read what Dave Smith mentioned. So you funded this thing, created it, had such substandard conditions that the thing gets out, and then you all lie through your teeth as you're locking down the world in response to the thing that you made without ever admitting that you made it, okay? And then after all of that, you come up with this vaccine and lie through your fucking teeth to get people to inject something into their body that they can't uninject, knowing damn well that it doesn't work the way that you're selling it as, knowingly lying about that and getting people to take this thing after you've gotten the government to shield these pharmaceutical companies from that liability so that they can rake in tens of billions of dollars in profits. I'm sorry, someone needs to be prosecuted for that. There is a level where you're like, no, we just can't move on from this. You can't just come on Piers Morgan's show and get to go, yeah, we did it all wrong. Prosecute Fauci button. Oh, yeah, it is even more nefarious than his description, too. Okay, we were talking about slavery today. Let's compare it to transhumanism.
Is nothing compared to AI and transhumanism. Nothing. Nothing. How so? Well, because slavery, evil though it is, it still exists, by the way. It's evil, and Christians got rid of it. No other group did. Christians got rid of that because they thought it was evil, because they thought God created each person. But even under certainly in the United States, even under slavery here, evil as it was, slaves were still considered human. They didn't possess the same rights. But AI and transhumanism specifically, seeks to redefine what a human being is. When you merge people with machines, then you don't acknowledge the existence of a soul. If you believe that each person is a distinct soul, that God cares about each person like a speck of sand on the beach, each person is accounted for and watched over by God and cared for by God and has a destiny, how could you merge that person with a computer? Because once you do that, then you don't have to acknowledge the soul. Then you can treat that person like the object that you've made him into. Slavery
It's an important conversation on transhumanism and transgender. I mean, just trying to change what people are. Like, you can't.
In March.
All right, well, listen to this, talking about illegal aliens.
Of 2024, you wrote,
the horrific murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime, like it's an actual issue.
That'd be Laken Riley you were talking about?
Laken Riley was an unusual case.
Her horrific murder at the hands of this illegal migrant who was also unlawfully paroled in the United States. Her death not an actual issue?
Migrant crime is much less of an issue than U.S. citizen committed crime.
Those are your words. Her death not an actual issue.
Shut up. These arguments, that guy should have never been here. It wouldn't have happened if he wasn't here.
Meaning we shouldn't be paying attention to it. Senate's wasting its time this week on the Laken Riley acts that would address her murder.
I think the Laken Riley act could do a lot of harm. It would.
I can't frankly.
A lot of harm.
Believe that I am hearing these words. You said that the murder of a nursing student in Georgia has a lot of people on the right talking about migrant crime. You put it in quotation marks, like it's an actual issue. She's dead because of migrant crime.
Oh, you don't hate the deep state Democrats enough. Is this Trudeau departing after his final day on the job as prime minister?
Don't take Trudeau! Don't take the walk in the snow!
No legacy!
Come on! No!
say these people won't be able to walk the streets once everyone figures out what they've been up to.
That's Trudeau leaving for the last time as PM. Here he goes. Here he goes. Trudeau rolling out. Rolling out. Get the heck. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. There we go.
There's Trudeau. There he goes.
Democrats will
Yeah, here's Mayorkas, this slime.
have a tough time trying to argue with this one.
You're a lawyer. You know how to answer questions. This is a photograph from just one day along the Rio Grande of hundreds of thousands of people walking across the border. You have allowed this to happen. The photograph that was before. What are these wristbands?
I don't know what they are.
You don't know
Remember this when he lied?
what they are. Mr. Secretary, you have just testified to the American people you're incompetent at your job. Along the southern border, you see thousands of these wristbands because the illegal immigrants wear them. The drug cartels, every color corresponds to how many thousands of dollars they owe the cartels. You have turned these cartels.
And when these people owe thousands to the cartels, they're inside of our country and they owe the mob a favor. They will commit crimes. That kind of covers everything.
Cartels into multi-billion-dollar criminal organizations, and these are modern-day leg irons because these are children being sold into sex slavery, and you don't even know what they are.
He's lying. Of course he knows. He wants this. He's a demon. No, Mayorkas is not human. This guy, look at his face. Look at his actions mostly. Look at his actions. A demon.
That is astonishing, Mr. Secretary. I want to say to you right now, your behavior is disgraceful, and the deaths the children, they are at your feet.
Democrats will have a tough time trying to argue with this one.
That guy is just a demonic creature. A lot of politicians are complaining about Doge. There we go. Goodbye, true dope. Yeah, he is a true dope. A lot of politicians are complaining about Doge, but not one of them have accused Doge of lying. That's a good point. Look, the pushback against Trump. Thomas Massey's pinky toe understands liberty way more than Trump and even more than Biden. We'll say President Trump was wrong to attack Massey, but Trump has been doing a fantastic job overall in his second term. All right. We are libertarians. They love to bash Trump without giving him any credit for anything. Border Patrol just posted this.
I don't see how you can hate from outside of the club. You can't even get in.
How can you hate from outside of the club? You can't even get in. I can't play the music.
Feeling like I gotta get a.
But here you go. Border Patrol posted this. There's the border. There it's being patrolled. I don't see how you're going to hate from the club from the outside. You can't even get in. Why hasn't this always been the case? I just don't get how backward things have been for so damn long. And there should be a way for people to come in, show your ID, run the background check. You're an okay person. Come on in, visit, stay for a while. You want to become a citizen? Fine. Fill out some paperwork. Here's a process. Just all this sneaky shit, all this illegal stuff. I'm just so over it.
Comment. I don't know if you guys know this, but nobody gives a fuck about J6. Nobody. Didn't win you the election.
This is a message to the Democrats, the deep state.
Just crying about it. Here's what's funny. J6, no matter how fucked up it was one day. Y'all are destroying shit every single fucking day. Every single fucking day. Blowing shit up, death threats, doxing, every fucking day. You are causing insurrections all over the fucking country. Constantly. All the fucking time. J6 one day, y'all every fucking day. Every day in y'all's mind is a fucking insurrection that you need to cause constantly with everything. When I say everything, everything. Let's burn Teslas. Let's burn down schools. Let's lock people into police departments and burn down the police department. Let's go to every capital in the country and occupy it. Listen, nobody cares about J6 anymore. Sorry to break it to you, sweetheart. Okay, Angela Slack. Maybe your little pronouns in your bio will help everybody fucking join your side. I don't know. Everyone's sick of your shit, so.
There you go. Oh, here's a good comparison between the Republicans and Democrats.
I think both sides are very tribal.
And this explains the Obama doctrine very well from a former Democrat.
Yeah, but in terms of cult, at this moment in time, I think the left is more cult-like. I was in it for 20 years, what's known today as the woke left, but we used to call it social justice left, progressive left.
Known by conservatives as woke.
Right, but here are some of the characters.
Known by conservatives as woke. Yeah. And it used to be called progressive left, and she gave two other definitions there. Yeah, it's called woke. Yeah. What was his point for doing that?
Characteristics that I think make it more cult-like than perhaps the conservative side. One is that if you had questions, you had to check your privilege, or there was always some line that they would use to get you to stop asking questions, which is sort of cult-like. Yep. And then the other thing was there was this encouragement to separate from people who didn't agree with you. And so I slowly over time like whittled my world down to just people who were in the social justice left. And there was really, for people who left, which I did eventually, which was a long process, it's a bit like you become an apostate. You don't just leave or have different opinions. It's like once you leave, you can't come back.
Yep, walk away. We call that the Obama doctrine. People complaining about Elon and Doge.
Elon Musk does have a security clearance. He has a top secret security clearance. By God, he makes the rockets for NASA. But the suggestion that he somehow can't be trusted to dig into how we're spending our money is nothing but a smokescreen to hide the corruption and the wasteful spending that has occurred there. And I am personally offended at the left's continued references to 19-year-olds and 21-year-olds in there doing work. There are 19-year-olds who have won the Medal of Honor defending this country. Just because you're 19 doesn't mean you're some child who can't be trusted. It is offensive. And if you're 19 years old out there, 20 years old, and you're serving this country, by God, your service matters. Keep serving. We thank you for that. Elon.
There you go. I like that one. I think I played that last week, but it's important.
See somebody of note with a platform who...
Michelle Obama might be forced to turn comments off of her new podcast episode after being brutally trolled with remarks alluding to her being a man on YouTube on the launch episode of her new podcast, IMO, with her brother, Craig Robinson.
You know, by every measure looks successful. The first question is how? I think this podcast, first and foremost, gives us an opportunity to hear from folks. You know, we're going to...
Folks. Yeah.
To be taking, you know, questions from listeners who are going through something.
Anyway, yeah, the comments are nonstop. Check out the comments. All about Big Mike. The based list, Capitol Hill mystery, little Jesus statues are popping up all over the building. Look at that little guy. I think someone needs a little Jesus in their life. Someone needs a little Jesus in your life. There's a little Jesus right there. That's a little Jesus. Liz Elkind, Capitol Hill Mystery. More of these little Jesus statues are popping up all over the building. I've seen them near the House Press Gallery and even outside the Speaker's office. Source sent additional photos of the one in Statuary Hall. I'm going to type that. Looks like somebody needs a little Jesus in their life. There we go. Oh, Jesus. That is kind of funny. Oh, here's the tolerant left. There's J.D. Vance at the Kennedy Center. Listen, this is what someone yelled. He's up there. Now listen.
Kill that light!
Someone yelled, "Kill that vice." This is tolerant left, people. Here we go.
Kill that light!
Gross. Can we figure out who said that? Page is not available. Okay, can't tell you this story. What happened? Okay. Biden was on vacation when 6 pardons were signed. What?
Hesitate from weighing in on the Biden auto pen controversy, which is shocking. Really starting to gain a lot of steam, as it's making. You're starting to see that story start to pop up a lot of different places, which normally wouldn't talk about it. Here he is, cut number 13, talking about that Biden auto pen problem. Cut 13.
Take a look at he signs by auto pen. Who was signing all this stuff by auto pen? Who would think you signed important documents by auto pen? You know, these are major documents you're signing. You're proud to sign them. You have your signature on something. In 300 years, they say, oh, look, can you imagine? Everything was signed by auto pen, almost everything. Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So
the comment, is anybody going to take legal action, or is it just going to be another all talk, no action?
Should have never happened.
Yeah.
Rick, I saw today that the 6 pardons that he put out, he was on vacation in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And he signed by auto pen. Did you see that?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Crazy.
Right. I think we all know he did nothing.
He didn't sign nothing, right.
He did nothing. He doesn't know what was signed. He doesn't know what happened in the last 4 years. He doesn't.
This is a big story.
Idea. Yeah.
I think it's a big story.
It's a huge story.
He didn't hesitate.
All right, so let's track it. See if we can indict Fauci. Kash Patel. Breaking, I can report that this afternoon, along with our interagency partners, the FBI and Department of Justice extradited 7 cartel leaders from Colombia who are allegedly responsible for funneling thousands of kilos of drugs to our southern border, ultimately trafficking them into your streets. These individuals landed in Florida today, and they will now face American justice. The message remains, if you harm the American people, this FBI will search every corner of the earth, find you, and bring you to justice. There's some photos. I mean, that's great, but where's the Epstein list? J.D. Vance saying the European Union has in some ways been the worst on American workers and American industries of anybody. They impose ridiculous tariffs, and they say they are our most important ally. And of course, we care about European security, but they don't treat us like an ally when it comes to economics. The EU, people, the EU. Here's a fun rumor. From David Nino Rodriguez, rumor. No exact time frame on this, but this guy's hearing that these cartel takedowns are going to be leading to politicians that will be spending the rest of their lives in prison. They will be affiliated with a terrorist organization. The Patriot Act that was going to be used against its own citizens will now be used against them. Boomerang. So can this start happening yesterday? Question mark. Expose them. President Trump said crooked Joe Biden got us into a real mess with Russia and everything else. But I'm going to get us out. Millions of people are needlessly dead, never to be seen again, and there will be many more to follow if we don't get the ceasefire and final agreement with Russia completed and signed. There would have been no war if I were president. It just 100% would not have happened. Likewise, there would have been no October 7th with Israel. The pullout from Afghanistan would have been done with strength and pride and would not have been the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. It could have been a moment of glory. Also, there would not have been any perceptible inflation. Instead, we had record-setting, country-destroying inflation like we've never seen before. Also, we would have had an impenetrable border with very few illegals getting in. Oh, what a difference a rigged and crooked election had on our country, and the people who did this to us should all go to jail. God bless America and make America great again. There you go. I'll put an LFG button. Let's freaking go. Joyce here responds. This is a commie gibberish post. If you have no fear about the prospect of becoming a minority in your homeland, it doesn't mean you're tolerant. It means they've succeeded in numbing your instincts with a few cheap freedoms, some sitcoms, and a couple of sob stories, along with a handful of material trinkets. Oh, there's an area in South Africa that gets posts flagged, and so you can't mention it. It rhymes with Modija. Grodija. I don't know. But what's happening in South Africa is disgusting. Hey, speaking of disgusting, let's listen to Elisa Slotkin.
We're about to turn 250 years old. We're still pretty young for a country. These are our angry teenage years. And what do you do when you have a teenager who's threatening themselves and others? You just try to get them through this period alive so that their brain can fully form and you can come back to kind of what
Are
a
you
country.
talking about Trump?
No, I'm talking about our country. We're pendulum swinging. I don't think there's a single American who feels like this is normal.
I feel like it's pretty normal. We're having some transparency in government. We're figuring out where fraud is. We're protecting the border. We're saying that men are men and women are women, bringing peace to Ukraine and Russia and a bunch more. But she wants you to think that you're a child. Now, she is right about one thing. The 250 years, we're going to hit our 250th anniversary in...
President Trump said he's going to have a heck of a birthday party, a whole year-long celebration. I'm so excited for that.
In 2 years. We're pretty young as a country, actually, and many countries don't make it to 250 and many don't make it beyond 250, and we should be very aware of that. But if you're concerned about children whose brains aren't fully formed, if you're worried about teenagers running the show, you need only look at your party, right? It's your party who's constantly acting like children and talking about burning it down and why the whole thing was bad from the beginning and obliterating facts and using authoritarian means to inject people with stuff, etc., etc.
We're about to turn.
Yep. Well said, Dave Rubin. Andy Biggs calling for an investigation into Act Blue.
Andy Biggs here from Arizona's 5th Congressional District. Today I sent a letter to Kash Patel, Director of the FBI, to ask him to investigate Act Blue. Act Blue is a fundraising platform that literally gives billions of dollars to progressive causes and to the Democrat Party. But here's the deal. It's been investigated. There's a lawsuit right now, a civil lawsuit in Wisconsin where a guy had his credit card basically charged over and over again. And that's what we're seeing. There's times where you get these crazy repetitive charges that people haven't given their authority, they have never authorized. So we need the bottom of it, lots of allegations on it, and I think the FBI and under Kash Patel is the right agency to investigate, and that's where we sit right now. Hello, Andy.
And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot less of that happening where someone's actually doing, running fraudulent charges on someone's account if they give to Act Blue once and they keep recurring charges. I'm sure some of that happens where it's like, oh, well, I had you set up to bill this every month. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. We can refund you. I apologize. I thought that's what maybe this was entered incorrectly. You could make a mistake and refund it correctly, quickly. But usually what it is unsuspecting people. They knock on the doors, James O'Keefe and others. And they're like, hey, are you giving $1,500 every 2 weeks to Act Blue? Like, no. Like, I made one donation 3 years ago. Like, okay. So they're getting fake credit cards or fake accounts set up in these people's names, laundering USAID money, laundering Green Initiative money, laundering all these, as much money as possible to go to Act Blue so that they can pay into the Democrat committee. It's just a money laundering scam. You got to go out, send the money out there into the wild, and then wash it back. Oh yeah, look, we have all these people making all these small contributions. That's the ticket. No, it's just like in Office Space where they make a rounding error where every penny rounds down and then those are collected and then they get deposited into an account. Nobody will ever notice all these missing pennies. That's what they think. That's what the Act Blue Democrats have been getting away with for how long? A real long time. And that needs to stop. So you need to go full speed ahead right now. No delay. Just go. Ask questions later. Just go. Go fast. Full throttle. Just go. Here's a Border Patrol standoff with an armed cartel.
They're definitely going up the hill.
The longer segment. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but Ben Berkwam saying this is a war. Democrats are fighting for the wrong side. Thank God for President Trump and Tom Homan. Go ahead and watch that video because it's an illegal alien invasion. Here's the war as well.
Sean Farish, I think probably the best Trump impersonator, really funny comedian, just announced in the early morning hours, it's on X, that he and his wife got swatted last night in Tennessee. For those that have been hiding under a rock, don't know what that is in the last 20 years. It's really accelerated on the Democrat Party terror campaign with the Ukrainians, now clearly linked to them. It's people calling the police and saying you're killing your wife or killing your family, trying to get you killed. So it's an attempt at murder. It's classical terrorism. It's almost always carried out by Democrats and leftists throughout the years. And people have gotten killed many times by it. Yep. People have been sent to prison over it. Yep. So not just him, dozens, over 15 people overnight got swatted. A lot of them have already put the videos up. It all started with my reporter, Chase Geiser, 2 days after our reporter, Jamie White, got executed. Most of these people, including other Texas talk show hosts who announced he got swatted a few days ago as well, are on the Ukrainian enemies list.
Ukrainian enemies list. Why are we supporting them if they're aiming at us? Yeah, this war can't stop fast enough.
So this is terrorism, and it's just all part of the burning up the Tesla dealerships and all the rest of it. A couple people have been charged with domestic terrorism, now have been arrested for firebombing facilities that Trump promised they would. So it's all out of control. It's just the beginning.
You're right, David. It's time for a shakedown and a takedown. Ready for an EBS along with the rest. Ready for the red lights. SWAT's going on over here. SWAT's going on. What's the big idea? The terror cells have activated. Act accordingly, everybody. Be ready.
That's Raskin, Carville, all of them promised Civil War conditions and uprisings if Trump won. And of course he did, so they are completely pissed. And this is their game plan. This is what they're doing. Now, the idea that the NSA and the government and all the rest of it can't go find out where these calls are coming from, they're spoofing the numbers, is bull. Over a year ago, I had somebody call with Tucker Carlson's number, Tucker's name and number, spoofed the number, and used AI to fake his voice, but I figured out it wasn't him very, very quickly because Tucker wouldn't call up and say a bunch of foul things to me. So I called Tucker, and he said, no, that's not me. And then we found out who it was. They got in trouble. They were in Canada. So there's a lot of this going on.
Canada, Canada, Ukraine, all attacking the United States.
We're using computers senators and AI.
Why is Trump so mean to Ukraine and Zelensky? He's so mean to Ukraine. He's so mean to Trudeau. He's so mean to Canada.
Things to do it. It's sophisticated, but they know what's going on. The FBI and the NSA and others, and they could really go after these people if they wanted to. It needs to happen. This is a big deal, and it's a bellwether and a harbinger of a lot more that is about to happen. So here's the bottom line. We better start seeing some major action from the Trump administration on this. And my final point is the police continue in almost all these cases to say we don't know what swatting is. And literally when the people tell them, they go, "What's swatting?" I mean, it's hard to believe SWAT teams and police intelligence units don't know this is a huge phenomenon for years. It's only escalating. So I guess they like to just dress up and go terrorize people or something. I'm not saying they're all bad, but some of them are just really out of control, coming up people's windows, middle of the night, pointing guns in. Very dangerous for the police.
The Utah guy. You should have arrested him on his way to Walmart. You didn't have to blow him up.
It's very dangerous for the citizens. It's all completely and totally insane. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop right now. Obviously, this isn't going to intimidate people. Nobody's going to stop what we're doing. These are death throes of the globalist, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better because it's the official Democrat plan to cause civil unrest as the cover for having Western states secede when Trump declares the Insurrection Act. It's constitutional. That's their plan. That's why they produced the movie Civil War for the election last year and the rest of it, kind of telling you what they want to do. It's the official Democrat Party battle plan of John Podesta, was even in the New York Times about all this. So they're terrorists, and this is what they're doing. And so all their Hitler talk and Trump's a dictator talk, no, that's what they want to do. And they're
they project what they are onto the other side.
Part of the whole globalist cult worldwide, and the Ukrainians are heavily involved. Almost everybody that's been swatted is on the Ukrainian hit list. It's very, very suspicious what happened to Jamie, and we're investigating that as well. Jamie White was murdered Sunday night, so it's very, very serious. I'll be on the air today at 11 a.m. Central.
Yeah, it's awful what happened.
Bro, are these people living on the earth?
Yesterday, they said the quiet part out loud. Your Medicare and Social Security, they call them entitlements. Those are things you have worked for your entire life.
Your money. It's your money. The word entitlement means the fact of having a right to something. The amount to which a person has a right. How is that the quiet part out loud? This is the official fact sheet from the Social Security Administration, SSA.gov. Right there. The Social Security benefit programs are entitlement programs. It's in the second sentence. Bro, I feel like I'm not in real life. Senator Slotkin, this person posted this on her Instagram, and I'm going to play the full clip. And she literally said, they aren't entitlements. They're benefits they've worked for. Bro! Okay, so they're not entitlements, they're benefits. The word benefit means an advantage or profit gained from something. A payment or gift made by an employer, the state, or an insurance company. To receive an advantage, a profit. Bro. No. Senator Slotkin.
Yeah, we have the dumbest people going out and giving their opinions. It's pretty wild. Yeah, more of Trump in the auto pen. We get it. Oh, here's a post you can check out. The Elon witch hunt inside 5 Act Blue groups targeting Doge as Tesla's burn across America. A coordinated campaign against government efficiency emerges, funded by the familiar players of the radical left. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. You can check out the thread. Oh, and here's Thomas Massey.
And it was because
Trump went after.
AIPAC and the State Department. This is back when our GOP leadership would tell me what was actually going on. Since then, I've figured it out. But they said it was AIPAC. And they have so much influence up here on foreign aid. And they even, you wouldn't think that AIPAC, that's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, you wouldn't think they would want $1.3 billion going to somebody who's ostensibly not their friend in the Middle East. But they do because they're trying to bribe them into a friendship, but they're using our money for it.
Is it true that AIPAC has a
a minder, a representative, a contact, however you want to describe this person, with nearly every member of the House of Representatives?
Yes, that is my opinion. They've tried to establish some with me. Now, these aren't professional lobbyists. I don't even know that any of them are paid in any other way other than getting free trips, let's say, maybe to Israel or to Washington, D.C. But they're not paid. They're constituents. And most people think it's pretty reasonable to meet with the constituent. I do. In fact, I'll meet with people from my district who might be in AIPAC. I just tell them you got to take your badge off before you come into my office. I'll meet with you as a constituent, but I'm not going to meet with you as a representative of a lobby for a foreign country. And most of them don't want to take me up on that deal when I say I'm not going to accept foreign lobbying in this office.
Why is the Foreign Activities Registration Act not enforced against AIPAC? It's the biggest representative of foreign government in Washington, D.C.
Well, it absolutely should be.
It should.
I mean, and recently I think they've tried to convict people for not being registered lobbyists of foreign countries. Now, the first explanation you will hear somebody say is, well, everybody in AIPAC is an American citizen. But that doesn't exempt you from the Foreign Agent Registration Act. Like, if you're representing a foreign country, then, there you go. It doesn't matter what country you're a citizen of. So I think people misunderstand the act, and I think they should absolutely be subjected to that. It was because AIPAC and the State Department, this is back when our GOP leadership would tell me what was actually going on. All
right, there's the beginning of it again. But yeah, why are they coming after Massey? I don't know. I just wish we would have had a smaller budget, and I blame Speaker Johnson for bringing that to our attention. It should have been much lower. And Massey and Rand Paul were right to say I'm voting a hell no on this. With the budget problems that we have, with the money on our credit card already, they should have been able to give us something better than what we got. Anyway, that is the conclusion of today's program. I appreciate you all watching. The ways that you can contribute to the New American Media and assist us, they're all at the bottom. Venmo, Cash App, Patreon, and PayPal. Those are the ways we can do that. Thank you to everybody leaving comments and jokes and questions and thoughts. I appreciate it. So if you go on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, and YouTube, we're the New American Media. On Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X at American_Media_. And subscribe to our podcast on Apple and Spotify. The Agree to Disagree Show. That gives you the TNAM AM Show and the Agree to Disagree Show. Those are the places to catch us. And that was our program. And we're going to go out and enjoy our day. Did you see the full moon last night? Did you see I stayed up. I watched it. Had a bonfire. It was a good time. Very good time. So get out this weekend and have a great time. Get some of that fresh air, some of that vitamin D, and live your life. We love the politics, but life is lived in between. Thank you so much for being here. All right, signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.